What's up, Sifted? Twitter's, Facebook, YouTube. I am doing another drunk play. It is I, the Berkough, and I
Oh,
am.
sorry, Matt. I can't. The screen's frozen.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Maybe it's only when I record.
No, actually, it's been frozen for quite a while. I just haven't said anything.
All right, okay. Hold on.
Sorry, I said something.
Let me stop recording. What's up, Sifted? Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. It's another Berkough's drunk play. I am your host, Berkough, and I am joined by Evan, the stand user.
How's
Evan,
it
what's
going?
up?
Thanks for inviting me on.
For sure, man. So we did this last week, and both of us got a little too crazy with the beers and started sharing some stories that probably will never see the light of the internet.
Yeah, and it's not. It's not. It. Yeah, that makes it sound bad. It's just we got into like some personal stories.
Right,
Um.
right, yeah. So
Yeah.
neither one of us robbed a bank. It wasn't anything that serious.
Yeah. Or
Just
or said or said horrible things about people. We just like we basically forgot that we were recording, and we it was like we were sitting at a bar together, just like
exactly.
going over like old stories about stuff that we can't really get into. So yeah.
Yeah. So all right, we're trying this again, and I will edit that video down. So the last time we played Bonk's Adventure, I played Bonk's Adventure, and you watched me and tried to instruct me, and maybe didn't work out the best because I was pretty trash. But that's kind of what this game's all about, you know. So um, tonight, back to the old standard. I got the Pabst Blue Ribbon going on. As soon as my camera updates there. They've got some new labels. You probably can't see it because of the way that we had the screen share set up. But
I did see your pic on Twitter though. Some pretty cool artwork.
yeah, so I don't know what this is. It's like a promotional thing. But the last two times I picked up St. Archer's Citra IPA, which was fucking, it's bog standard shit IPA. And then I think it was Hop Devil
Yeah.
was the one that I was drinking last week, and that was like a really shitty, just basic IPA. So I said, screw it. I'm not even gonna try to pick anything new that I've never had before. Just stick with the old standard. So what do you got going on? You got some.
All right. This is a mouthful. So this is made by Sapporo, which is a city known for its beer. Uh, oh, let me. I'm having issues here.
Right.
Actually, Sapporo is on the same 43rd latitude
Okay.
as Milwaukee. Um,
Interesting. All right.
and actually, Munich is very close. So back in the 80s, they had a commercial in Japan. It was like Sapporo, Munich, Milwaukee. That's where um, my father-in-law actually knew Milwaukee from, is that beer commercial. But I digress. So yeah, this is made by Sapporo. This is a cheap beer as well. So Berkoff and I, we're doing cheap beer night.
Yeah.
This is called. Uh, the name of the beer is Barley and Hops. Sounds like
They're
sounds
just
like a recording duo from
right.
like the fucking '60s or something. It's called The Scent of Autumn, 2017 edition. So this is an amber lager. Uh,
All right.
it's okay. Like it's got enough hops there. It's a bit sweet, but it's still like really drinkable. It's not heavy at all,
All right.
and it's also like a cheap beer. So
So Amber Lager, is it anywhere close to like a Newcastle or a brown ale?
no, it's not as nutty as those beers
Okay,
are.
so but it's close in like color and malt, you would say?
Yeah. I'd say this is a bit more on the bitter side.
Okay, so it's
Like
all right.
you know how like lots of when you talk about the same styles of beers, but when you talk about American beer versus, let's just say, like a British beer,
Right.
they those two areas have very different ideas of like what a style is. Like a lot of European beers, especially like British beers, they're a lot more nuttier and they tend to be more on the malty side, and they don't like, I guess you could argue, overdo the hops or like amp everything up to 11.
Right, right.
Um, and there's a bit more, I think personally, a bit more. I might get flack for this. a little more watery for me on the back end, where I really like a really crisp bite to
All right.
finish that sip off.
You're saying it's watery on the British side?
Yes,
Oh,
I mean,
I agree with that. Yeah, totally. Like with Newcastle and whatnot. Yeah,
yeah,
it definitely
but
has that. But that's what makes it so easy to drink.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. It's and a lot of traditional British beers and even like craft brew now, they tend to be lower in alcohol content. They range between like you get like a 3.5 to like I would say like mid four, like 4.5 is like really common. My friend just got back from London, and he went to like some beer fest. It was like the Great British Beer Fest 2017 or something,
Right, right.
and he brought back the pamphlet, and I mean there was hundreds of beers in there, and that it had like the style and the IBUs and the ABV and everything, and I would say on average everything was like light fours. So
I actually like that. So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
this is gonna go
easier to
off.
drink.
This is gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent, but um, like when my wife and I go out to eat, sometimes if we go to a place that specifically is known for having like a lot of beers on tap, and they give you that giant beer list that you can pick from, and they usually have like the different prices for the different size glasses, and they'll have the IBUs and the ABV and all that stuff. Um, Especially if it's like something to go with dinner, I'll pick a 4.5 or a 4,
Yeah,
you know.
totally. And yeah, so this lager, it's a very light lager. It's a bit bittery, a bit bittery. It's got bitterness to it. I swear, this is my first beer of the day.
Still
um,
1 o'clock or noon there.
right. This is 5%, right on the dot.
Nice.
But it's just it's a cheap beer. It's easy to drink. Could drink like seven, eight, nine. You'd be fine. But next time we do one of these, if we do another one, I'll actually bring on some Japanese craft beer, because I don't think like not a lot of people may outside of Japan know a lot of Japanese craft beer brands. So it would be a good opportunity to showcase it a bit, or at
Yeah,
least talk about it.
yeah,
So I'll do that.
definitely.
I'll do that next time. I wasn't thinking. This morning I could have gone out and prepared for this, but I tried to fucking pre-order a Super Famicom Mini, and that ended up a horrible experience. So
All right. Well, in the spirit of the Super Famicom Mini, and I guess the Super NES Mini, when it comes out here in the States, what I will be playing tonight is the Pico 8. So the Pico 8 is a fantasy console, as I'm sure all of the viewers will have read by now, as we were talking. And the concept behind the whole idea of a fantasy console is not that it's actual hardware; it's just software limitations. And so the Pico 8, you can download the software package, and it gives you the ability to create your own games. So it's as much an engine as it is um, sort of trying to recreate what would be a console in the late 80s, early 90s. And Evan just disappeared. All right. Did you have to close the window or?
sorry about that. There is a typhoon happening outside, so
Oh, Jesus. All
I had
right.
to shut the door.
So, yeah, I was just going over kind of what the Pico 8 is in terms of, it's a game engine as much as it is a group of standards to sort of recreate the old consoles of the late 80s and early 90s. Um,
Right, and this is the first time I've seen it. I took a brief look at it after you sent me the link, but yeah, this is all new to me as well.
Yeah, so I don't remember how the hell I found this, but it came up through something. But the amazing thing is, okay, so let me go back. I'm actually at my favorites right now, but I'll go back to the list of all the carts. So each program for the Pico 8 is called a cart, and under the carts we actually have what did you say there were a total of 39 pages?
I believe so. Yeah, 38, 39.
Yeah, so we've got maybe 20 a page, 39 pages. There's a multitude of games that a bunch of hobbyists have created. It's all free. So if you go to lexaloffile.com, that is LEXALOFFLE.com, you can create an account and you can play any one of these games completely free of charge. But if you're interested in actually developing for the Pico8 or to try and come up with a game for a game jam that fits in a certain particular standard, I think it's $15 if I'm not mistaken. It's 15 or $20 to buy the Pico8 package, and that allows you to actually like make your own game. And it's, from what I understand, it's a fully featured sort of environment to build your game. I haven't actually gotten that far, but I have been having a lot of fun with the various games. And so I've picked out a few of my favorites, and I thought that we'd go through these. So I showed you a couple, Evan. What did you think of Hyperspace 111?
Yeah, so this is the first game from Pico8 that I actually saw. I took a brief look at it before the stream, before the recording, and I think this faux 3D look is pretty damn awesome.
Right?
Like even if you're not really interested in playing these games, like it even looking at it now on through screen share, it looks a lot better when you sit down and you actually play it in your browser. It when you move the camera around, it just feels like really neat.
Dude, this is a solid 60 frames a second. It looks 3D. I don't know how the hell this guy achieved it, but it's
And
it's
it's
like
pretty playable on a using the arrow keys in Z and X. Like I don't know, I took a shot at it.
right. So yeah, this particular game. So we've got whenever you lock on, it constantly shoots, and then if you use the one button, so the two main buttons are mapped to Z and X if you're playing it on a computer. The X key on your keyboard does a barrel roll, so you can kind of avoid enemies and shots fired and stuff. And
Does the barrel roll seem responsive?
yeah, I'm just not very good at the game. So
Oh, I happened to say that right when you died. I wasn't insinuating
you
that
weren't,
you're shit at
weren't
the game.
implying anything. All right, I'll remember
Um,
that for next time.
all right.
But yeah, no. So okay, so I guess you can set the auto fire if you want. I didn't realize that was an option when you started the game. There are only 6 buttons. That's one of the restrictions of the Pico8. So there's 2 buttons or 2 face buttons and 4 directional buttons. There's no start, select, anything like that. So like if this were a console that were produced today, which I need to find the link. Apparently, there's an open source project that these guys did, and it's a handheld that has a lot of these games preloaded on them. So it's got the
Interesting.
it's got the Pico8 software, and I don't know if it was just a Kickstarter or if you can like buy these on the regular basis. But yeah, I had a friend from North Carolina came out to visit here in Vegas, and he was like, "Dude, I got this handheld, and I've been playing all these games." And I was like, "Dude, I want to tell you about this thing called the Pico8." And we started talking about the games and like comparing what we had been playing. And he's like, "That sounds a lot like the fucking games that are on this handheld that I just bought."
That's random.
Yeah, it turns out it was we were talking about the exact same games. So I'll have to link that in the description below.
Yeah, this is really cool, by the way. Yeah, I knew nothing about this before we started this, and I'm definitely gonna start. I'm gonna give a bunch of these games a shot after we're done recording.
Yeah. There's actually a Pico Monsters, which is, if you believe
I
it,
love. Sorry, I love that opening screen, by the way, too.
oh, failed to load cart. Why did it not load?
Is this part of the game?
No, it shouldn't be. It should have just loaded. Failed the load cart. That sucks. Let's try this Hug Arena. This is another one that I had sent you and we were trying to play. Failed the load
Yeah,
cart.
I've seen only two games. The first being the Hyperspace 1.1.1,
And Hug
111, whatever, and Hug Arena. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
play a bit of this. I haven't seen anything else. So outside these two games, everything's new to me.
Okay.
Just I like that's just really cool.
Right? Dude? Like the. Alright, so this is the startup screen for Hug Arena. Hug Arena. Alright, so this one takes a little more concentration to play. Do you want to try to describe what's going on while I see if I can be any good at this?
Yeah. Based on my brief play, so the goal of this game is to hug the enemies until they turn pink, and that means you have befriended them. And once all the enemies on the screen have turned pink, you win.
Right.
So you have a love meter
Right.
at the bottom there.
Yeah.
And also you have an attack, which is basically hug. You can only hug the enemies. You see how the closer he got to an enemy, a line kind of is drawn between them. That's when you're in range to successfully hug them. So what happens is once you get in range, you hit the hug button and you'll basically like shoot straight towards them and hug them, and you have to hold the button down. And it takes a certain amount of seconds until they become until you befriend them. Now, what happens when you do that is any hostile enemies in the area, when you start hugging someone, they'll automatically make a beeline for you. And if they hit you, it'll knock you out of that befriending time. And so basically, it's just kind of a war of attrition where you just don't want to get hit, while also one by one befriending each of the enemies on the screen.
Yeah.
And
Each
one cool thing. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was gonna say each level that you complete, or every so many levels, it gives you an upgrade. So like you have speed or life and
Definitely
I think
speed. I think.
yeah, which is the one that I just did on that last level that I beat. So
There you go. Got him. In my brief play, I think I only played like 2 or 3 rounds or levels rather.
it's not very
So-
easy. So
Yeah, you can only see how it said rejected right there. You have to wait for your love meter to fill up. So the second you start holding on the hug button, the love meter will deplete. And when it's depleted, if you haven't befriended them yet, you'll get rejected, and you have to wait for your meter to build up. A cool thing is if you've befriended any of the other enemies on the screen, if you go in their vicinity, they'll boost the time, or your love meter will fill back up quicker.
yeah. All right. So the last
There's a
upgrade that I just got was reach.
Okay, yeah, I see that. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's so yeah, you can initiate the hug from further away.
Right. So all right. So it looks like the first level you get an upgrade, and then the third level you get an upgrade.
So is it every other level? Wait, I guess you'll have to beat level 5 to find out.
It might increase. Like you might have to beat more and more levels in order to make it happen. All right. So rejected. So I ran out of my love meter there.
So you can go by your maybe go by your friend. Oh no, you got enough love.
There we go. Let's see if I get. Nope. No upgrade. All right. So
So you're
it,
right.
yeah, it increases in sporadic. Oh shit! Now it's like a bullet hell game. Fuck. All right.
Wow.
Definitely convert that guy first.
Yeah. yeah. I think that's where I died in level 2. I got shot by that guy.
Yeah. So that's Hug Arena.
Yep.
Like, dude,
Hug Arena. I really like that. And I'm not one to like sit down and play like these really small games. Like for example on like PlayStation Network,
right.
I've seen like a really cheap pack of like, whatever, like really smaller indie games, and it's just like that stuff. I don't know. It never really jumps out at me. I never really buy them and play them or support them. I guess I haven't, at least to this point. But something about this for me just seems like I would actually sit down and play these games.
All right, so in addition to Hyperspace and Huggerino, which are really impressive, this game, Hydra, is actually really impressive too. So this is a top-down, similar to um, Zelda, I guess, but it's well, you'll see as soon as
Is it
this
like Hide
loads.
Hide? Do you remember that one?
No, I don't. Okay,
It's
just
a
blew my mind.
shitty. Yeah. Well, yeah. Outside of the horrible name Hide, um, it's kind of like a Zelda-esque game. Okay, yeah, this is not like Hide. Never mind.
Okay, so the left and right arrows swivel around your character. Up and back is forward and back. You do have a sword, and I don't know if this is procedurally generated or not. I want to say that it is though, but it's all dungeon crawling, and that's it. So you just go through these dungeons, but the way that like it handles like the scaling on the sprites and whatnot is like really impressive to me.
Um, the movement controls, especially how that you turn, it looks like it's difficult to control. Is it?
A little bit with
Okay.
with a keyboard. It's a little bit difficult. I think it would be easier if I could get a gamepad to work. And I think if you buy the package and actually install the software, it you do have gamepad support. So that's one
Okay.
advantage to actually purchasing this if you want. Shit.
You know what would be perfect? This reminds me of those top-down levels in Contra 3 Alien Wars.
Oh, totally, dude.
And that like this game would probably control really really well if it had an L and R buttons, the shoulder buttons. That's how you would turn in those. And like
Oh, right,
those
right.
levels are really difficult to do when you first started, but like once you got the turning stuff down with the shoulder buttons, I don't know, I did pretty well at those levels.
All right. So,
Um, Side note, I loved that no one everyone hated the laser gun in Contra 3,
oh, I love
but
the
it was
laser. Dude, that was like
I
one of
mean
the
like
best weapons.
really in the side scrolling things it was like super slow and that like it was so thin like it was just really difficult to hit things, but in these levels it was like the king because it was a steady stream that destroyed anything in its path.
Well, I mean, maybe that's a testament to the way that the game was developed, I guess. Because
Mm.
what was the other one that was really good? The spread shot, where you had like the three that shot out.
Oh yep, yeah, the spread was one of the best.
Yeah, totally. Dude, speaking of which, Contra 3: The Alien Wars. Come on, one of the best Super Nintendo games ever.
Oh, hands down, it's amazing.
At least one of the best co-op games. Because I remember
um
spending hours and hours with my best friends playing that game. And I think we
yeah
eventually beat it too.
I remember when I was a kid I never beat it on hard. And I remember the motorcycle level took me far longer than it should have. I think that's level 4 when I was a kid, but you know, patience was a virtue. It still is now. I just have less of it. But as a kid, it's like you'd lose all your continues, and instead of like throwing the controller, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna start again and get better at it. I definitely
Yeah,
don't do that anymore.
I think the Konami code works for it too. I think that's how we beat it as kids.
I bet you any money I'd be absolutely horrible at it now. But when I was a kid, like I'd
Right?
fucking breeze that game. I was so good at it just because I played it so much. It has nothing to do with being good at video games. I'm pretty mediocre, I'd say. But it's just, yeah, you just played games over and over more. Um, but my brother, man, he beat that game on the hardest difficulty, and I remember the last boss. Do you remember the floating brain?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And like, there was a part where like it would spin in the air, and you had to shoot it, and whatever brain you hit, it would change into that form, and then you had to fight that form until it gave you the option again to choose another part of its transformation.
Yeah, vaguely. Oh my god, it's been so many years.
So
Yeah,
what
I
happens on
do.
hard mode is on the easy mode or normal, I don't remember exactly what the settings are. I don't know if there were 3 difficulty settings, but there were less transformations. There's like 4 that it turned into, and once you beat all 4, then you know you
Right.
the boss would you would defeat the boss. But in hard mode, there's like way more transformations that you have to beat, and I have very vivid memories of watching my brother finally beat that game on hard. Back in the day, I was
So
very excited.
he beat it by himself, and you didn't play with him?
No, I was like I was kind of a weird kid. Like I had an older brother. Well, yeah, I was a weird kid, but
So
my
strange.
older
having
brother.
to have
It's so
siblings.
strange. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I have two older brothers. I'm the youngest, but my brother Nick's 2 years older than me, and especially with JRPGs, like I was terrible at them because I just couldn't wrap my head around the systems.
Okay.
You know, well enough to to be good at them. So I just used to I loved to watch my brother play video games when I was a kid. And while I was good at Contra 3 and stuff, I wasn't good enough to play it on hard, and so for some reason, like instead of helping him on hard, I just like would watch him play it on hard.
All right.
So yeah, there was that, but so yeah, I mean we don't have to talk about Contra 3 for the remainder of this, but
The duration
one
of
thing.
Hydra.
I think one of the coolest boss fights, just in memories, in terms of like how impactful it was for me when as a kid, is the boss before the final boss where you're climbing up the ladder on the right side of the screen and that dragon creature.
Oh yeah. Okay. It was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was just the neck that like did the movements, right?
So
Or,
yeah, it was like a dragon, but it had like I mean, it was like very H.R. Giger
right.
influenced. It attacked with its tail. Its tail had like a spike on
Oh,
it.
all right. Okay. All right.
I remember it would teleport. It would go, and then it would appear, and then try to hit you. And if it hit you, you'd fall off the ladder and you'd die. So it's just like it was just this epic battle of you and your co-op partner just climbing up and down this. You had a ladder. You had very limited movement. Just the right side of the screen.
I'd have
And
to.
it was just
I'd have to play it or watch a video. It's been so freaking long since I played that.
we might have to do that one day if I can get my act together.
Right. Yeah.
But,
So eventually, if we can get it set up, we might be able to actually do like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll get on. I'll get on that. I say that, and I mean it. But
So-
how much do I mean it? Like
I don't.
if I wanted to, if I wanted to do, like priorities, right? If I wanted to do it, it would have been done already. But I'm in Japan. Like I need to consult my wife on contacting our internet company to figure these things out because I just sifted through my documents and I couldn't find the password to allow what we need to do to get that
Oh,
stuff
no
up and
worries.
running.
No worries. I was just giving you shit.
Oh
So
no, totally. I mean, it helps me ever so slightly
the other
move
thing,
towards actually getting it done. So.
right? the other game that this Hydra reminded me of is the Grand Stream Saga on PlayStation. Have you ever played that?
Did you say Grand Stream?
Yeah, Grand Stream Saga.
PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
No, never heard of it.
Holy shit! All right, pull up a video or something like in another
Alright.
tab.
Grand Stream, like the stream,
Stream,
like
yeah.
a river.
Yeah, the Grand Stream Saga.
Alright.
How
And
did-
every time we talk, you come up with a game that I've never played, which is great because I learn about a new video game every time you're on podcast Reload.
Yeah,
That's a plug for you.
which I appreciate. Yeah.
Apparently, I can buy the Grand Stream power supply on Amazon Japan for $12. Wait, let me go back.
I don't think that's it, but
I guess PS kind of sounds like it's like
go
the
to
private number.
look it up on Wikipedia if you can find it.
But so what's the Grand Stream Saga? Can you give us a
It's an action RPG, and it's if I remember correctly, the combat is very similar. It's like top down, but it's 3D because it was like early PlayStation game.
Okay, oh yeah, here we go. Oh, it's not Grand, it's Gran. All right, I gotcha.
GRAN.
I want to say I've seen this cover art way back in the day on a shelf, but I can't be sure. I'm looking at it right now.
If I'm not mistaken, I apologize to everybody watching the video. Just my wife is checking in on me, and so I'm checking my phone out. But yeah, if I remember correctly, it was a game that came out in '95 or '96. So it was like very early on in the PlayStation's life cycle.
It says 97, but who
Okay.
cares?
All right. Well, it was close. Damn it.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, whatever. If you would have remembered, if you would have remembered the exact year that the Grand Stream Saga came out, I like fucking go on Jeopardy, man. There's no way.
Only if there was a PlayStation Jeopardy.
All right, you'd kill.
What
Or
is what
like
is
Jeopardy
SquareSoft?
obscure games.
Right. What is
Like it's
SquareSoft for 900, please?
yeah. The game that nobody played other than Berkough came out in what year?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's mean. I shouldn't say that. I'm sure a lot of people
What's
played it.
what game did Berkough trade for Brave Fencer Musashi?
Oh, are you serious? That was the game, huh?
No, so all right. This is like
Why'd you say that then?
all right. So I traded Xenogears for a copy of Brave Fencer Musashi
Oh, wow.
back in
Do
the
you hate
day.
yourself?
I would fucking hate myself today, but I don't have any of that
Wow.
shit anymore. So
So yeah, it doesn't. Like
yeah,
my brother had like the Millennium Falcon toy in the 70s, and if he would have held on to all the Star Wars toys, like he would have. Well, I say that no, he would have made a couple $100. It's not like he would have been a rich man or anything,
right. Just retire on that shit.
but he laments the fact that he sold all of his Star Wars, his 70s Star Wars stuff.
Dude, I'm amazed that that kind of stuff is like so valuable.
Well, it's like, how would anyone predict? That's why I still have all my fucking amiibos in their cases, and all I want to do is like open them and display them. They're taking up double the space because those boxes are so huge.
Right.
But for some weird reason, I think like I'm gonna make an extra $10 on them in 10 years or something. Like I should just open them and get it done with.
All right. So okay. So this game, Kingslayer's J, I think it's just Kingslayer's. Is like a Fire Emblem or a Shining Force clone, which is
All right.
yeah. So we'll go ahead and try this out. Actually, all right. So the one game that I didn't mention that I've been trying to play lately on Podcast Reload is Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon.
Which you're gonna have to.
It's okay. So Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon is on the DS,
Okay.
and it's if I'm not mistaken, it's the only Fire Emblem for the DS. It was a remake of the very first Fire Emblem.
Okay.
Holy shit, is that fucking game hard?
Well, really?
Dude, it's just like unforgiving.
Well, maybe that's why they weren't so popular back in the day. Like I don't know. It seems like they've balanced the challenge out a bit more in the later entries. Also, Fire Emblem definitely was helped by Smash Brothers in terms of becoming as popular as it is now.
Everybody says that. I don't. I really want to. I would love to like talk to somebody at Nintendo. Like, was this really like the reason that you brought it over to the U.S. because everybody went ape shit over these fucking anime characters?
Like Marth, who the fuck is Marth?
Or was it more because of Advance Wars?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because
maybe.
they totally brought Advanced Wars over, and it did well sale wise. Like, I don't know. They're similar games. They're tactical strategy games. So
Yeah. Also, I shouldn't take away from the fact that the more recent entries had been very good games, and that's probably why they're popular. You know what I mean? I shouldn't like they've become popular because they're good games as well. Like that definitely. From what I hear, I haven't played any of the newer entries, but from what I've heard, like everyone's saying, at least the 3DS games that have come out have been really, really solid strategy games.
Yeah, I actually haven't played any of the 3DS version, so.
And neither have I. I've only ever played one Fire Emblem game, and it was a Game Boy Advance one, and I really, really liked it. And I don't know why I never picked up another one. I just didn't for one reason or another.
Yeah. I played the. I guess I don't know if it's the Binding Blade or the Burning Blade or whatever. Or the Sacred Stones. I can't remember what the subtitle is.
Yeah, those all sound like high fantasy, like medieval
Right.
subtitles.
No, it's totally like they are subtitles for Fire Emblem games. But
Oh, okay.
here in the U.S., it was only Fire Emblem. That was it, right?
Oh, really?
But
Hmm.
oh sweet, I can pick another recruit. Okay. Oh, so we got goblins and orcs. All right, so we're fighting with goblins and orcs and kingslayers. I'm gonna get another
Are you
orc.
fighting humans then? Or
No, I'm fighting other goblins and orcs and
oh, okay.
whatever
I thought they were like turning the old story on its head. Who's the real villain,
right.
right?
No, yeah.
Sorry.
Um, so yeah, whatever the GBA Fire Emblem game is, I've played through half of that, and Shadow Dragon, I've gotten to chapter 6 like 10 times, and I just have to keep restarting because I find where there are characters that I could have recruited that I didn't, and yeah, it's
Okay.
fucking crazy.
So like chapter 6 out of do you know how many chapters?
22.
Oh my God. It gets that hard that early?
Well, all right, so it's not that it's like uh yeah, it is. Okay, so it is hard and it's like punishing, but there's stuff that like you learn as you go through the game, as you figure it out. You're like, "Oh, I didn't know that I could fucking talk to this character." Like if I had hovered over his character on the battle mat, I would have realized that because his portrait is different, he's not just some nameless enemy.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out like what which character in your party that you have already, if you've accumulated all the necessary characters, needs to talk to him to recruit him or her. So
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like
No, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, I think that's awesome because it gives it a bigger level of depth, you know?
yeah. So
There's more going on the battlefield than just attacking people.
right. So Shadow Dragon didn't have like what a lot of people really like about modern Fire Emblem games um, is the like pairing up characters. So you figure out like what the character combinations are, and then like eventually they like pair up and they have children, and then those children carry on the genetics and like traits of the characters from before.
And then of course there's like these are the two best people and then their kid is like the strongest player in the game type of thing.
Right, right. So that's like a huge aspect. Shadow Dragon's all about finding the optimal party because you don't actually um, like the characters don't mate and they don't have bonuses when they fight next to each other and stuff.
Oh, okay, it's just
Yeah, it's all about the
figuring out
characters.
who's the best
Yeah,
combination of people.
yeah, it's all about the characters that you're able to recruit over time, and then which one of those will level up the fastest and be optimal for your party, like based on the scenarios that you get into.
Right.
So
Okay.
it is kind of just like a bunch of fucking starting over. And
And I could see how that style of gameplay would be unpopular to some people. You know, it's like I don't want to have like I don't like the trial and error aspect of this. You know.
yeah, and yeah, and the story is not the best.
Yeah, and then if that's also part of it, then it's like, well, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
I'll just look it up. I'm gonna look up exactly the combination I need from the start, and then I'll do it that way.
I'll admit, like I went through the wikis. Yeah.
I always weigh my cards when it comes to my how I value my time versus how long something might take me to figure out by myself.
Yeah. The interesting thing too about Shadow Dragon is it's the second time that they've remade Fire Emblem, the original Famicom game. So,
Oh, really? When was the other time?
I want to say it was like the first or second time that you guys had me on Podcast Reload. I was talking about Fire Emblem Mancho no Mancho no Nanzo, I think is how you pronounce it. Mystery of the Emblem.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah, yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so all right, so that was for the Super Nintendo. You can't get that here in the States, but there is a fan translation of it. If you search, long and hard, you can find it on the internets. But yeah, so that particular game, you have the mechanic of mounting and unmounting units, and they've actually gotten rid of that in Shadow Dragon. You can't actually do that. So there are some units that are like on horseback, or they're on like a Pegasus,
Right.
and so their range is increased, and like how far they can travel on the battle map, and you can. So it's like some characters that are mounted will take more damage based on um, I can't remember what the factor is for that. If it's magic or lances or something, but in the remake for SNES, you can have them unmount, and then because they're unmounted, they take less damage from those particular enemies or whatever. So you can't do that in Shadow Dragon. Shadow Dragon converts back to the old style of the game where the characters are just static, but
Okay.
there's a whole prelude to it. And so like I kept making the wrong choice for the character that had to die in the prelude chapters because I didn't realize. I was like, oh yeah, this guy's not even fucking in the regular game. He's not in the NES game or the Super Nintendo game. So like I should have just fucking killed off him to begin with, but
Okay.
I kept choosing the wrong character to die at the prelude that they added to Shadow Dragon, and I kept getting into these situations like in later on chapters where I was like, "Fuck, I wish I had this type of character," or "Why isn't this type of character or this type of unit stronger?" That's right, I have the wrong type of that unit. Like this guy is just fucking milk toast. I should have had the other dude.
Right. Yeah, side note on Fire Emblem, for some reason, so there's a place close to my house called Book Off. Great name for a store.
Right.
Actually, the it's a chain store. The kind of they're basically like a used bookstore. The used electronics store is called Hard Off, which is a better name than Book Off.
That's
But
okay. Is that translated from Japanese, or that's actually
no,
what it's called?
it's all caps, hard dash off, hard off.
So,
So if you ever see hard, you're in Japan, you see a hard off. They sell used games. You actually might find like a Super Famicom for really cheap there. Like they sell controllers. Like my friend got a PC Engine for like this is back in the day before like the retro boom happened, and then where everything was going on in the States about like the big retro revival of like people collecting and stuff.
right. So,
Um,
is that a thing in Japan too, or is it just
it is
because?
now. It is now. 5, 6 years ago, they were way behind the ball. Now people have figured out like, oh, people in Western territories like totally will pay a lot for like retro games. So they started going to Hard Off and going to Book Off, buying all that shit up and throwing it up on eBay. Before, like my friend got okay, so this is like 6, 7 years ago. My friend got a PC Engine for $1,
Nice. All right.
the equivalent of $1. Whereas now it's like you're not gonna find that. But the other day I saw a Super Famicom in its original box for the equivalent of about $30 US, and I didn't buy it for some strange reason. I don't know. But at Book Off, down a couple blocks from my house, they have a small retro gaming section, and for some reason there's tons of Fire Emblem games there. At least the Super Nintendo versions or the Super Famicom versions.
Oh, really?
Like yeah, there's like tons of copies of them.
Dude,
Um,
if you can find a copy of Thracia 776 for cheap,
Is that a Fire Emblem game?
yes.
Is
So,
that the subtitle?
yeah, it's
I'm gonna have to write that down because I guarantee you that is not the Japanese subtitle. It's gotta be something else.
no, it is. Wow, okay. Maybe no,
The
it's
translation of it.
no, I don't think that's the translation. I think that's what it is. Thracia
Really?
776.
Oh shit! All right, hold on. Let me look this up. Thracia.
Yeah, so
Oh
it's
shit! Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, so if you can find that for fucking cheap, dude, here in the States, those things go for, uh, I want to say at least $100 for a Super Famicom card of that.
Oh no, that is the name of it. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, it was only released in Japan, huh?
Hmm.
But that's the thing, though. Like a couple years ago, you could probably find this game cheap. Now, a lot of like retailers have, and also people that go to Book Off and Hard Off and buy this shit up and throw it up on eBay or whatever
Or
site.
Amazon or whatever, yeah.
They're a lot more savvy of like what these games are worth. Like I'll say 5-6 years ago, I went to a recycle shop, which just means a thrift store. They call them recycle shops in Japan.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I get it. It makes sense. Um, I bought Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI in box for $1 a piece.
No fucking way. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I still have it. I'll show you it. I have Final Fantasy VI in box, and even now, it's not. It's like $10. So you can get
Wow.
a box version for that. But think about the jump in price.
Right, right, right.
Even though $10 is considerably, and I'm just translating, I'm just converting yen to dollar, right?
So,
So give or take,
alright.
a couple bucks.
So, all right, you're in Kyoto, right?
Hmm.
Um, is it any different if you go to, uh, like Akihabara?
I'm sure it is. Like that's like
Because
me
that's like where tourists
living in
go,
Milwaukee.
right?
But
To
it's like it's me living in Milwaukee, like trying to describe New York to someone, and I've never fucking been there. You know what I mean? Like, so I know nothing about Tokyo. Like I've been there a couple times on vacation. Um, they have more shit. I mean, it's a huge metropolitan area, so like they have way more stores. I don't know the price. I don't know the prices though. Like if it's, but I think they've like all like the major stores that deal with retro gaming. I think they've realized like tourists go into those stores and buy up a bunch of retro stuff.
right,
And this is just basically like what I'm just guessing here is that once they figured out like, oh, this stuff is totally worth more, and they did a bit of research, they raised the prices of stuff. So I don't know exactly how much that stuff is now. Prices are not like 10 years ago, totally different story. You could go in to Japan and fucking clean a store out for cheap. It is not like that anymore.
right, right.
And Kyoto is a smaller city. It's like the seventh largest city in Japan. I think there's like 2 million people here. But just a 30-minute train ride south west of me is Osaka, which is the third largest city in Japan.
Right, right.
You have your classic shops, like everyone talks about Super Potato. That's like everyone go to Akihabara, go to fucking Super Potato,
Yeah.
and check out some retro shit. They have a Super Potato in Osaka. I've been there. I am not a retro collector. Like I'm kind of like you, Berkough, where like if it's a
Yeah,
game that I hold dear to my heart, I'll buy it to have it, but I'm not here to collect the entire fucking Famicom, you know,
I just
collection.
I can't, dude. You know what I mean?
No, I don't have the room for it. My apartment's small. I live in
I
Japan. My apartment's small.
Dude, I own a house and I still can't
Yeah,
like justify
yeah.
the space requirements for something like that.
But
Um,
I will say though, one thing. I don't know how Super Potato is now. I have a friend who's a retro collector. He went down there and he's like, he moved back to the States. He came back a couple years ago. We went down there. He knows his stuff. He knows like, oh, like there was like a limited run where they made a mistake on the label of
right,
said
right,
game,
right, right.
and like he's like, and that's worth like plus like $200 or whatever. He's that level of like knowing his shit. I
Right.
am not at all. We went down there and he was a bit disappointed in the prices and the selection of games.
Oh wow,
Take
okay.
that for what you will. I have no idea. I'm not that type of person. But I will say, so I don't really know about Akihabara, the prices, or Super Potato and
Well,
Osaka
all right, so
now.
that's just like the main place that like I always hear about. Um,
And same here. Like
for
there's nothing
picking
like
up
that
that,
around Kyoto.
yeah, for like picking up that kind of stuff, like that's what I hear about. Is like, oh, you have to go there. Isn't it? What is the translation? Is it like electric alleyway or something?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're on your stuff. It's like Denki Town, Denden Town, maybe. Like yeah, it's Denki means like electricity. It might be Denden Town.
Okay.
Um, in Osaka where you get your stuff. I will say so. Aside from all that stuff, to go to like a book off or a hard off,
This name still kill me, dude.
I know, I know. Like even just down the street, like you will find like
Oh
games
my
in box for really really cheap, like Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island.
yeah.
That game is just on the block for me. There's 3 copies at Book Off, and it's $15 maybe.
Okay. All right.
Like in box in good condition. Like I bought like even so I bought Chrono Trigger for $1 back in the day. Now it's down there for $10. For some reason, there's a Super Metroid down there in box in a fucking almost mint condition box, but it's $50, and I've been mulling it over every time I go down there. Like, do I
Dude,
take the
you
plunge and
just
buy it?
you just pre-ordered a Super Famicom Mini though. Doesn't it have Super Metroid on it?
No, I didn't pre-order Super Famicom Mini. That was my
Oh.
goal,
All right. Okay. All right.
but yeah, my day ended in disappointment and anger.
Jesus. All
So
right.
it was terrible. I don't even know why I fucking did it.
Or tried
I don't know.
to.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring the story up on the stream, but we've been again. At least we're talking about video games this time.
Exactly. We've got it on topic this time.
Yeah, at
So,
least we're staying on topic. Yeah. All right. So I'll run through my experience trying to pre-order a Super Famicom Mini, and then you can do with it as you will.
okay. Let me stop you.
You are the dungeon master.
Let me stop you before you get too involved. Were you watching me play Earth Was a Bad Choice?
No, no. Let's do that. Let's do that.
All right. So you were totally ignoring the entire time that I was playing this game.
Oh no, I was. Oh, okay, yeah. This game, yeah. No, I was watching you play it.
All right. Okay. So you understand the premise, right? The whole idea is to like just keep bouncing off of shit.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah. So,
Dude, I am so close to getting to the end of this. Like I've never been this close ever. I've played this
all
game
right,
a
let's.
few different times.
All right, fuck my story. Do it.
All right, well, you could play your story. I just wanted to put some context to like what was
No, no, no. It's
actually
fine.
going on screen.
It's not even that. My story. It's just my story is a tale of disappointment and anger. This is actually more interesting. So, you. So what is that? What is that meter? That red meter there?
All right, so the red meter is your life. You have to, if I'm not mistaken, you have to hit so many things before that meter completely depletes.
And what
Um,
happens when it completes?
you lose a level. He just like fails and dies. So you play an
Oh,
alien
okay.
that's on Earth that's being attacked by uh, the U.S. military, let's say.
Okay.
And your goal is to run along the bottom, that meter that's on the bottom. And so the little icon that's to the far right is your ship. I've
Oh,
never
okay.
I've never gotten more than halfway on this fucking game.
So wait, that little circle above like the
Yes,
whatever
that's where
the
I'm
ten
at.
inch mark on the ruler. That's you.
Yes.
Okay, so you're almost home, man.
Yeah, if I can fucking beat this, that would be amazing.
This looks really really difficult.
Um, it's actually a lot more easier than you would think.
How are the controls? I mean, it seems like you're able to maneuver where you want to go. So
Yeah, the controls are very precise. Like that's the one
right,
thing that I will give the guy that created this.
and it's one of those things where like if they weren't precise, the game wouldn't work.
Right.
So, oh,
Fucking made it. Oh my god. Nice.
congratulations.
Okay, that's a milestone for drunk plays. I've actually fucking beaten a game, I think.
Yeah, it's also that's the opposite of every person playing online and like all the comments are like you fucking suck. Like you actually did a good job
Oh,
while
I'm sure.
recording
I'm
something.
sure. Like anybody who actually sits down to play this, like that game was fucking easy. Way to go, jackass.
Right, right.
Dude, those are YouTube comments, and like I'll be happy to get those YouTube comments. Like if anybody's actually even watching.
Oh yeah, I would love to just trash it.
What is
That
this?
means you're
Oh my God,
watched.
no, I didn't beat it. Holy shit! All right,
Well, oh wow.
what
Do
is?
you have to get to your ship? You got to bounce all the way up there?
I think I do. Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Oh, all right. Okay, so hopefully it's like Sonic. There's only 3 hits that you have to do.
right. There's no glowing yellow like orb in the middle, so it's like, is that? It seems like you just
Ah,
jump on
shit.
top of it, right?
Well, you don't jump, so um, it's only arrow keys. So you
Oh, okay.
so you have to hit the shit that's coming down, or like
And then
in the
what is it?
prior.
It gives you a boost
Yes, and then
upwards. Okay.
yeah, and then you maneuver off of that boost. Holy shit, this is hard. This is way harder than the rest of the game.
Yeah. This doesn't. Is there a fail state in this? It doesn't seem like it.
There,
You're not.
there was before. Like I don't know if there is right now, but
Oh, this is
when
just
I've
like the final.
yeah, when I've played this before, I've definitely failed. It failed hard.
Okay. Like, it's almost like, is your ship trying to help you or is it trying to keep you away?
It's got to be helping me.
Why is it in the air though?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
We'll have to
I just
ask.
I'm just expecting a bit more like explanation of like story, you know what I mean? In a
Well,
game like this.
does a game like this need story? Come on.
No, not at
Did
all.
did Alien Hominid need a story? No.
No.
Wait,
Never beat
do you
that
even
one.
know what Alien Hominid is? Come on.
Oh no, I've beaten Castle Crashers. I've
Okay.
beaten Castle Crashers. That's a really good game. I played it by myself though, so even though I played it by myself, I still had a really good time.
Dude, my wife freaking platinumed that game like by herself.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
What a beast.
when we first met, she was like, "Oh, I should play this game. It's like one of my favorite games ever." And I was like, "Castle Crashers, really? Like you like this game?" And
Will you marry me?
no, so she showed me like literally like all of the stuff that she had collected. She's like, "These are all the different weapons and hats and all this other shit that you get." And I was like, "How the fuck did you do that? Like I couldn't beat this game."
I think I beat it like I was like in the last sliver of life at the last, like it was one of those last bosses where like they just keep having new forms,
Yeah.
and like I thought I beat it and it was like, oh shit, this is the last form, and I like by the skin of my teeth I beat that game.
All right. It's
But
a,
I'm a
it's
yeah.
it's officially a drunk play. I cannot. I don't think I can get. I don't think I can beat this.
This looks really really difficult. But you made it to the top one time,
Right.
so you did it right.
I didn't realize
The thing is
this
like
was the end
I
of the game. Like I thought I had already gotten here.
I will say for me, like the frame rate looks like absolute garbage. Because
Does it?
I'm watching. Oh, for me, totally does. Yeah.
Oh wow. All
Like
right.
no, it's good enough. Like I can see individual jumps. I can see you climbing, bouncing off this stuff. But I can tell it's not optimal.
All right. So what about?
So
All right. I'm gonna I'm gonna stop this because people are just gonna watch me do this for a fucking hour. What about the other games though? What about the frame rates on the other games? Were they a little bit better?
no, they seemed good. That game just seemed fast. Like maybe that's. I mean, how smooth is that to you?
It seemed pretty smooth. It wasn't as smooth as like Hug Arena or
So maybe there's a slight lag, but for a game that's pretty quick or pretty fast,
right.
I think that even a slight lag makes a difference. So maybe that's that. Like I can totally follow the action of the game, but
Right.
yeah, there seems to be a couple of missing frames when I was watching you jump around. But
Okay.
it looked really hard.
All right. I need to take a break. Do you want to continue on? We'll do a few more games when we get back.
Oh yeah, I mean that's totally up to you. You have you got to work tomorrow.
I do. I'll make it. It'll happen.
All right, I am
All right.
I am ready.
All right. We'll pause this. I'll be back. Obviously, anybody who's watching this probably won't notice. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll play Hybris, and I think there's a couple other games on here that I would want to show you that you can check out.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
looking forward to it. The funny thing is, it'll be interesting for me to try these games after you play it. Like, oh, you're terrible at this game, and then I play it. I'm like, oh shit, I'm
I
worse.
I need to know. Yeah, we'll have to talk about this when I post it. So,
Definitely.
all right. All right, welcome back, Sifted, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the peeps on social media. We're doing another Berkough Strong Play. Tonight we are doing, well, I guess I'll go back to the main page here. Um, the Pico8. So the Pico8 is a fantasy console. We've been playing a bunch of these games. All the carts are freely available if you go to lexaloffile.com, LEXALOFFLE.com. They do offer the engine, so you can buy the engine for $15, I think. I should probably just fucking scroll on the page as long as we're streaming this. Yeah, so the package is $15, and it will let you program your own games. The community is actually pretty huge. We've got, how many games did we say? Like 39 pages of like 10 games each. So there's like 300 games for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Evan, what have you been playing while we were off camera? You jumped into Metroid
Yeah.
Samus Returns on the 3DS.
Yeah. Here's proof. You know, people hold up like USA Today with like the date on it.
Right.
I'm actually fucking playing it. Here, I got it. It's not superimposed. There you go. Look at Samus doing her thing.
Nice.
Yeah. So I picked it up yesterday. I bought both of the amiibo, of course. So I'm a massive Super Metroid fan. It's like top three best games of all time for me.
Okay.
And also like the Game Boy Advance, Zero Mission and Fusion. Love love those games. The original Metroid. And I was worried because I will admit, as much as I want to say like, oh, return to form, love Metroid, glad it's back. I don't like the kind of shitty like 3D
The way that they've done
graphics.
okay.
Yeah, it's the same as like A Link Between Worlds is a really good Zelda game.
You don't like the
But I think
graphics?
no, not at all. I think it's like there's like zero text, like the textures are bad. The aliasing bothers me. Link looks weird. I don't like the aesthetic at all. Like the 3DS to me as a system that predominantly has 3D or games with like 3D graphics on it.
Yeah.
I am not a fan, and that's probably why I haven't played a lot of 3DS games. Of course, gameplay is king, but it's just like it's really off-putting to me. I just do not. It's like 2017, and this game looks like shit.
Fair enough.
That's being a bit reductive. It's being a bit reductive. So, anyway, so like when I first saw it, actually before E3, on Podcast Reload plug, Vin and I were saying, what's your dream announcement? I don't remember what Vin said because I wasn't paying attention. But when he asked me what I wanted to see, I'm just kidding. I said a new Metroid game. And then I saw this, I'm like, that's not exactly what I wanted. But I knew I was going to play it anyways.
Right.
I'm playing it, and it's really good. Like, I really, really like it. It feels like a Metroid game. It feels like Super Metroid to me.
Nice. Okay.
And I beat the original. Here, this is as much of a nerd I am. I mean, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
I actually,
you can show it on camera.
When I moved to Japan, I like brought this game with me. I don't know why. And it still has my old save on it, and I beat it. I beat the original.
Nice.
When I was like maybe 15, maybe. But it like aside from the graphics, like there are times when it looks good. I still think the textures. It's just, there's something to be lacking there. There's something to be lacking there. It lacks something. It doesn't. Okay, so just the look of the game, because of its kind of
well, for the limitations.
cheap look, it's just the atmosphere isn't quite the same. Like the aesthetic of Super Metroid is timeless. But one thing that does help in this new game is the soundtrack is really good. It's like remixes of classic Super Metroid and Metroid tracks, so that's good. But the game itself is awesome. Like I'm surprised that I like it as much as I do. The parrying system is a brand new mechanic that was never before integrated into
Right.
a Metroid game where you do like a parry move, like a melee, and it just adds a new layer of what you can do in combat. To where like if an enemy gets too close, for example in Super Metroid, you had to like move back or kind of figure your way out so you could like aim at it and shoot it. But now you can like melee the enemy or parry it, and if you parry correctly, you get like extra missiles and life back and stuff. So far so good. I really like it.
All right. Right on, man.
I'm surprised.
I'm thinking, yeah, I might pick up a 2DS XL. So if I do, obviously the Fire Emblem games, I'm gonna pick those up. But yeah, I could see myself getting a Metroid game. I'm not very good at the Metroid games, but I would play it just to see, you know.
I would say like for example in some of the earlier games, when you died, you went back to your save state. Um, in this game, I died at the first Metroid boss battle, and it starts you right outside the door to the Metroid, so it's forgiving in that sense. So
Okay.
you're not just you're not wasting needless time backtracking just because you died at an inopportune time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's got
Right.
more modern kind of take on like the quick save. And the quick save. So
All right.
it's just one of those things that's like, well, I like in my heart of hearts, I'm like, well, I kind of want the challenge. Like, I like only having save states and like not having regenerating health and all this stuff. But it's like, no, this is just convenient. It's a quality of life thing.
That's one of the
I'm happy.
things. That was one of the things that was mentioned on the lobby when I watched that. You know, they were talking
Oh, did
about
they?
yeah, they were talking about like the quality of life enhancements. They're like, yeah, you know, these things were added because of modern gamers, not because it was necessary in any regard.
And I'm happy for it. Like if I want the challenge of having to recover an hour of gameplay because I forgot to save and I
Right.
died at an inopportune time, I'll go back and play those old games. Like there's so many games coming out now. It's like I don't want to do that anymore. So if I died at the boss and they start me right outside the door to the boss, like I don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah. My wife is calling me. Let me just call her back real quick, and
No
I'll let
worries.
I'll let her know that we're on camera and recording right now.
Well, I know what I'm doing.
Hey. Not much. We're just finishing up recording. Huh? Oh, Evan, he came back this week. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I invited him on, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll do it again, and this time we won't share so many bar stories."
Yeah. I mean, I think moving forward, that was our test run. If
Right.
we're ever, if we're gonna continue to do this, obviously, if our
All
our
right.
schedules permit.
Okay. Love you too. I'll see you when you get home. All right. Bye. No,
And
yeah.
that parry, got to get that parry.
Right.
Parry is life.
All
It
right.
really is like you have to parry almost every enemy in this game, and that's not to say it's a bad thing. Like it's super satisfying. All right, sorry.
No worries. I didn't expect her
And
to.
actually,
I didn't expect her to call right in the middle of recording. I figured she'd just come home and like jump past real quick. But
right.
yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this. It's a 3DS, guys. I think this thing came out in 2006. Just
Oh,
so you
you
know,
still have the original one. You don't have the updated version.
I have the Nintendo 3DS LL, as it's called in Japan.
So that's the same as the XL. You got the larger screen on top.
Yeah, looks
Right.
like 2010, 2011 on the back here. Yeah, it's the larger screen. Yeah, I got it for free, but so I don't.
Well, I'm a little jealous. I can't get one for free. I have to buy mine.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
To be
So
fair, I haven't used it. I've played 2 games on it, Link Between Worlds and this game. So
Well, it's alright. I mean, those two really good games, to play for
Yeah,
it.
they're really
So
good. So, Hybris.
yeah,
Not Hubris, right?
no, Hybris. So this is like a holy shit. That's a hard level. All right, so
It's really difficult.
there's only 4 levels. It's a like shmup bullet hell. I don't know how to describe this game really, to be honest with you.
It kind of looks like an area in a Metroid game, like Bryn Star.
A
There's,
little
like,
bit,
this
yeah.
shit,
It does. It does totally
like
have.
pulsating fucking like growths on the walls. No, this totally looks like the original Metroid in terms of aesthetics.
Right, dude. It does have kind of a Metroid vibe to it. So I guess that was. I guess that was good that we were talking about Metroid while playing this
Well,
game.
we did. Clearly, we planned that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it looks like this thing constantly grows out at you unless you destroy like those
The bulbs.
pulsating-
Yeah, so you gotta destroy like the
That's pretty
bulbs before it continues to grow. And Jesus Christ,
Wow.
this game's hard.
It's the old school get good, bro.
Yeah, totally. Very much so. And fuck. Game over. I gotta say, yeah. Apparently, some of the hobbyists have decided they're going to embrace that old school design philosophy. Yeah, Hybris, another one of my favorite games on the Pico8. Let's see what else. There was another game that is, it's like a match 3, but it's a mix with an RPG.
Oh, I just got the name Earth was a bad choice.
for the alien to land.
Yeah. Well, I saw
Yeah.
you scrolling. Like, what? That's a really long name. Like, oh, like he shouldn't have landed there. Everyone wants to kill him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry. Took a while. Ooh, Jazzy Jeff. That's
Jazzy
that
Jeff.
any good?
I don't know. Let's check out Jazzy Jeff.
Let me turn the phone.
Press X to start. High score is 0. Alright, so holy shit. Alright, okay. So Jazzy Jeff, you just move around the screen collecting coins and try to avoid the balls.
So, oh, you've played this one already.
No, it's just what I gathered from the 15 seconds.
Oh wow, that was a quick take. You should write synopses for back of the box synopsis of a game. That's pretty
Right.
good.
Every coin that you collect increases the difficulty and the speed of the balls. What is that?
Yeah, you're like, you could be that guy, like the basement 4 worker, like musty old office with like a flashing light, and someone goes down, like throws the box at, like, all right, we need some back of the box fucking synopsis. Go to work. You're like the one guy at a massive company that does that.
I could do that. I could see
Yeah.
that.
Are you a human?
Yes.
Do you have like a red T-shirt on? It looks like.
Yes.
I wonder what's going on here. Like, what kind of?
What's
Quite the predicament.
alright, so
You opened the wrong door. Like, oh shit! Fucking die.
what's the scenario for this game?
He just like, yeah, he opened a door into like an alternate reality, and it like shut and locked behind him. He's just like
That's-
fighting for his fucking life.
No, that's where I was going. Yeah, it's an alternate reality. It's like Doctor Who. It's like a Doctor Who episode.
Oh, so you have dynamite there? What does that do? Destroy like bombs
Oh
within
shit!
your.
I didn't
okay.
even know that I had dynamite, dude. How did you even pick that out?
Well, it looked, because there's dynamite like in the and you collected some. I don't know. It looked like a stick of dynamite.
That was a good observation. I didn't know that I could lay
Oh,
dynamite.
and it also has an arrow pointing towards it. And
Oh,
says,
press
like,
X to
set
bomb. Yeah.
It's a bit inconsistent though, because it's not a bomb, it's dynamite. But is the verb for exploding dynamite to bomb something? I suppose it would be.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't think dynamite is a verb and a noun. Like, you don't dynamite something.
Right, you have to bomb it. You bomb it with dynamite.
Right? Yeah, dynamite would be the object. You explode the dynamite.
All right, so dynamite apparently is very rare in this game, and you should save it at all costs.
Are the coins strictly like high score stuff?
Yes, that seems to be the main thing that you have to do in this game is just to get high scores.
I mean, I think like that framing is kind of in keeping with the idea of the console. Like a lot of these games are just simply like high score.
Yeah, like
the goal of the game,
arcade,
so.
yeah,
Games.
games.
You know. And I could like a lot of these games. To be fair, I could like totally see these being arcade cabinets. You know.
Dude, one of my goals is eventually to build an arcade cabinet for my garage, for my man cave.
You should do it. Back in the day, my friend, the friend who knows about, like, he's a massive game collector, and he went to Super Potato and, told me the ins and outs of game collection and stuff like that. Back in the day, so I went to school at University of Minnesota.
Right.
Twin Cities, and he's from Minnesota originally, and what does that have to do with the story? I don't know. But anyways, he bought a couple arcade cabinets because he's a massive Street Fighter fan.
Oh, all right, okay.
So he drove down to Ohio and loaded up a bunch of arcade cabinets in a truck and went back home. It was like he had Street Fighter 3, he had 2, and then he had one other. It might have been like 1942, maybe.
That's a good game though.
Yeah. So he got one. I think originally he got like 2 cabinets for like $250, super cheap.
Right.
And he went home, and they gave him the keys to the cabinet, keys to the kingdom. And when he opened the section that holds the quarters, there was about $200 worth of quarters still in the machine.
No way, dude.
So
my god.
He barely paid anything for the machines.
Oh, fucking lucky, dude.
So it was actually really interesting to actually see, and he had games. Games it's just the motherboard, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, right? So, like, I went to his house and he was like playing. He's a massive Street Fighter fan, and he was just showing me. He was like the screen for 1942 was more,
It's
vertical than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you could do for the screens is like pull the screen out and turn it and put it back in, and we'd play 1942 on there. And then he had like his big like plastic cart full of motherboards, and we pop it out and like just plug a game in, and it was the first time. I was like 20, so it was like 12 years ago now.
Right.
20? No, I was a bit older, but anyways, I was in university. But it was just really interesting seeing the inner workings of an arcade machine, because I had never, I'd played them, but I'd never opened an arcade machine up and seen the details in that.
All right, so
I think he since sold that, but yeah.
Apparently somebody has they've ported Wolfenstein 3D to the Pico8.
I want to see this. I mean, going off the title screen, that looks pretty promising. So given the limitations,
right? How smooth is it on your end?
it's pretty smooth. I definitely see the action going on. Interestingly enough, I just played through the two Wolfenstein games.
The New and Old Blood?
Yeah. The New Order and the Old Blood, and there's a part where you can, sleep on a mattress, and when you dream, you play a level of
Wolfenstein 3D. All right. So my dad
I've played quite a bit of this recently.
My dad was a huge Wolfenstein 3D fan. So
Oh, really?
Yeah. Back in the day, we had an Atari Jaguar.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I've never seen one of those things in the wild. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Because it's a jaguar. It's an animal. Sorry.
No, it took me a minute. I was like, what is he talking about in the wild? Yeah, no.
The joke was worth less than the time it took
for me to figure it out.
Joke. Yeah. Anyways, so you had an Atari
We
Jaguar.
had an Atari Jaguar, and this is one of the games that we had for it because the Atari Jaguar only had like a few. Oh shit! I'm out of ammo. Only had like a few PC ports and like Tempest 2000 and
Tempest 2000. I remember that was like the flagship game when that thing came out.
yeah, it was like the one thing that
It was like the best game, and it was like the least graphically impressive,
yeah.
oddly enough.
I'm completely out of bullets. I'm just gonna die.
Uh, I want you to find a table, and I want you to move around it. I love the idea of like it looks. There
There's
was
a
a table right there.
there. Yeah.
Well, tune in next time.
All
But
right.
I just love how it's 2D, and then when you move around it, it just automatically faces you. It's pretty neat. It's a
So there's a video that I need to. I'll have to share on Twitter, so you can actually see. This guy explains how Wolfenstein 3D works.
Oh,
Okay.
I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, so Wolfenstein 3D uses what's called raycasting.
Okay.
So what you're looking at is actually it's Wolfenstein 3D is a top-down shooter, like the way that it's programmed. And what raycasting does is it says, okay, from the character's perspective, looking at these walls, what do we need to draw? And so that's how it renders it, and that's how it does it, and that's why it's pseudo 3D. So you don't have a top and you don't really have a bottom, right?
Right.
But it draws the columns for the walls and determines the distance based on where the character's position is in the top-down view.
Right. So it's not 3D.
It's not at all. It's phony 3D.
Similar to
Hyperspace 111.
Hyperspace One
Yeah.
111. Yeah.
And
It's absolutely amazing. Like emulating, walking around a 3D space. Like it still is impressive.
well,
And like
even
the scaling of the sprites, the closer you get to them,
right,
it's
like how that works.
pretty awesome.
Yeah. No, even with stuff like Wing Commander and the TIE Fighter games and the X-Wing games.
Yeah.
Like
F
I'm
F-Zero.
amazed. Well, okay, so F-Zero was mode 7, which is not yeah, it's technically not 3D, but it's a way of scaling the sprites that allows you to get that effect. So it
Right.
looks like it's 3D.
The overworld map in Secret of Mana. Come on. Which that game, like, there's even in Japan now, you can pre-order
The limited
boxed
edition.
the boxed version of the game for about $40. And I might have I kind of want to own, even if I absolutely hate the look of the game. Mechanically, it looks like it plays exactly like
It
the original game.
it does, yeah. Looks
Yeah.
like they've
So, and also to have like, and the great thing about it is the cover of the original Secret of Mana game. Like the mana tree and like the three characters, just like looking like ants compared to this massive, beautiful tree that's like the source of all life,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Such an awesome painting with like they're like cranes, like purple flamingos, like flying. Like you remember that those
I do.
kind of.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just to have a physical copy of that in a PlayStation 2 box or PlayStation 4 box. I don't know why I said PlayStation 2. Like I should have said PlayStation 3 as a mistake, um, but to have a physical copy of that artwork in a PlayStation 4 box is like, to me it's surreal.
Right.
So I'm willing to shell out like $40 to have something like that, and I'm gonna play it.
I think it's
I kinda
totally
have to.
I think it's totally worth 40 today. Like how much was the original game? 70? 75?
I mean, when you adjust for inflation, I'm sure it was a
No,
lot more
not
than
even
that.
adjusting for inflation. You don't remember new SNES games coming out and being $75?
Oh, is that the set price? No, I don't even remember that. I think
I
the thing is
do.
like my brother mostly bought the games when I was a kid, so
So, all right, so
or like I gave him money to buy the games. I don't remember.
I remember them being that expensive when I was a kid, and um, yeah, it was like a huge deal to go to Toys R Us and then flip up that little plastic fucking thing that they had on the wall. Because
Yep.
none of the games were exposed. You had to like flip up the plastic thing to look at the back of the game, and then you had to take the ticket. You had to take the paper ticket and go take it to the cashier before you get your game.
Yep. I remember the ticket at Toys R Us. The background was yellow, and then like the price was in bold black. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude.
Got the ticket. I got a golden ticket.
Yeah, there was no like GameStop. Like today, you can go and you pick up a box at least, right?
No, it's just like these plastic like sleeves with like a bunch of tickets in it
Dude,
lining a wall.
and the back of the box, you know, like scanned and printed on it.
Yeah, just kind of okay. This is what the front of the box looked like. This
Right, right.
read this. If yeah, that's all you got. That's all you got. It's fucking weird to say that at 32, still feeling young, like a young
I
person relatively,
right.
and just like to me, it's like yeah, that's what it was. But putting it into words, it sounds so like archaic. Like what kind of system was that? You know, thinking about how we've progressed now in terms of like retail and like online retail and that type of thing.
Yeah, totally, dude. God, this guy just
Go to
would not.
go to Blockbuster and like you look at the wall of the new games and there's like the fake box and no Blockbuster box behind the fake box. You're like, oh, all the games are taken out. Fuck.
Yes, yeah, I remember
Remember
that.
that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Or like the opposite of that. You go there, it's like no Blockbuster boxes, and then like the bottom right, you see one with the box behind it. Like yes,
Right. Like, well, I guess I'm renting this game this weekend.
yeah. That's all you get.
Oh man. I'm trying to think. All right,
This
so
this is pretty cool, by the way. This
the
demake, if you will.
the Pico 8 console and
Although
yeah,
this,
this
I don't
port.
remember the doors. The doors look like a mural of like a zoomed in portion of the Earth. I don't remember them being like bright
Oh yeah,
blue
yeah.
and
Okay,
green.
so
Was it like that?
if you pull up screenshots of the original game, it's similar to this. It's just the way
Okay.
that it's tinted, I guess, like the way that
It's supposed to
they.
be like a steel door with like a sheen on it, right?
Yeah,
I imagine.
absolutely. But the Pico 8, remember, you're limited in colors.
So
So
okay, that makes sense. I mean, at least I look at that and I know what they were trying to do. That makes it sound like they didn't do a good job. I think they did a great job.
died.
Even look at that your avatar in the middle. That's pretty good.
It's not bad,
Lots of
yeah.
lights.
It's apparently the game bugged out because I just died, and
You didn't get shot?
I did, and it's not. It's like just frozen.
Oh man,
But dude, for a hobbyist, for Hungry Butterfly to port Wolfenstein 3D to these limitations, that's pretty impressive.
I think so too. Yeah, definitely.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can find that one game that I was talking about because this is the game that my friend from North Carolina, he was like, dude, there's this game. It's like a match three, but it's like an RPG.
All right. Well, while you find that, I'm gonna go grab one more beer.
Sure. All right. So we got a bunch of different games here. We got Wizardish, a first-person grid-based dungeon crawler. I'm assuming it's like wizardry. Haven't actually played this. See if it's any good. Back. back.
今日最近って何何のポスト先週の
Just look at the number of games that people have done for this is absolutely phenomenal. There's the Super Mario Brothers clone. I'm tempted to play that, but I do want to find the game that I was telling Evan about. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna try to find that.
なんかあるよ。あれちゃう何それ招待状
Alright, so I haven't quite found it just yet, but I'm still looking for it.
While you're waiting, let me here you go. Look at that's the beautiful artwork I was telling. Wait, hold on. Let me get this in
the other way. Yeah.
The opposite way. Sorry.
Seiken Densetsu 2?
2, yeah. In box, $5. Actually, why am I holding it so closely? Yeah. Whatever.
Dude, it's tiny.
Type it in Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old. These are the. Why? Always like. You got the old. Yeah, the old.
It's awesome, man.
Characters on there, and here's proof. I think. Did I take the price off? Nope. All right, here it is. Here is.
Oh, Final Fantasy 6.
Final Fantasy 6 in the plastic.
Super Famicom.
Holy shit. The MSRP on here is 11,400 yen.
Which is
so that's about it's about equivalent to like $110.
Wow.
Almost. The MSRP back in what's the year on here?
93, 94.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But 94, yeah. There you are again, Mr. Jeopardy. 94. Yeah, it's you probably can't read it, but it says 108 yen.
No,
the 8 yen is the consumption tax in Japan.
Wow.
And then,
all right.
Yep. And then last one, Final Fantasy 5.
It's kind of a
$90.
All right, so Final Fantasy 5 is kind of not the best Final Fantasy. Have you played it?
No, I hate Final Fantasy 5. I don't like the job system because the job system to me means, hey, guess what? Now you have to grind more.
That's kind of the way that I felt.
Yeah.
And so I never played it on PlayStation when it officially... Wait, was it PlayStation when it officially came out here in the US?
Oh, and I don't know. It might have been released in like Final Fantasy, the 5, 6...
yeah, so whatever. I want to say that it was Final Fantasy Anthology. It was 5 and 6.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
All right.
It was a combination of 5 and 6, and then they added like pre-rendered cutscenes to both of the games, right? Like possibly.
All right, so I disappeared off camera there for a minute. The reason being was yes, so it is Final Fantasy Anthology.
Oh, you got it?
This is the.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that artwork. That's sweet. Yoshitaka Amano.
Yes, this is the greatest hits edition. Not, it's not Black Label, but whatever.
It doesn't count.
Whatever. Yeah, let me spin the disc around here. So yeah, this is the first time that it was released in the U.S.
Wow, that's really interesting. It's one of those things I forgot about, like when things were actually, officially released in Western territory.
Right, but I remember actually playing it through an emulator, because I remember finding out about Final Fantasy VII and being like, "Holy shit! It's the 7th entry in the series. We just got 3. Like, what happened to?"
Yep. That was the revelation.
Right, like what happened to all the other 4?
You know, and fucking doff of the hat to them for having the balls to just say fuck it. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out later. This game is Final Fantasy VII.
Right. Um, and so yeah. So I ended up playing 5 and the NES 3 because both of them had been fan translated. So
Okay.
yeah, um, still looking for this fucking match 3 game. I don't know why it's so difficult to find.
Is it one of those things like the thumbnail on the name isn't it doesn't really give you a good idea of Slay the Dragons? Looks like a match 3 something.
No, that's a
No,
that's
okay.
a
I thought it was
slots.
like a
That's
tile, like a tile based.
yeah, that's like a slots simulator.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I have a confession to make. I only beat Final Fantasy VI when I came to Japan in 2011. I
that's
never beat it before that.
that's fair, dude. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I waited really, really long. I beat it on the Game Boy Advance. So like, I came to Japan, like I just brought my handheld systems with me, and I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anyone at the time. I had just moved, and I
Actually,
just sat there and fucking played it during the nighttime.
so I've gotten into this argument a few different times on Reddit with the /r/
Oh, shit.
Final Fantasy crew.
Oh no, that sounds
Um,
like a hefty argument.
the the Final Fantasy Advance version is, or the Final Fantasy Advance, the Final Fantasy VI Game Boy Advance version is probably considered, at least in most amongst fans, as the definitive edition of Final Fantasy VI.
Okay, and not Final Fantasy anthologies.
No, so the anthology version is it's a different translation, but it has loading problems. So for whatever reason, they couldn't work it out on the PlayStation, and you have these like weird fucking loading times.
Funnily
Um,
enough, right? For a fucking Super Nintendo game.
yeah, exactly. Like, why do you have loading problems on the PlayStation? It doesn't make sense, but it does. It's got like long loading times between certain scenes, and the so the translation's a little bit better in the PlayStation version, which I think is the translation that they used for the GBA version, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not the Tom Wosley, I think that's his name, who is the guy that did the Super Nintendo version. But to give Tom a little credit, he was basically given the project and was like, okay, you have to translate this shit in like 3 months and localize it.
Oh, but also like, okay, you have this much room to put this much information.
Yeah,
You can be
absolutely.
as flowery as you want with your language. If it doesn't fit, we're not you can't put it in there
Yeah,
because the how much room that Japanese takes up is less than how much room English will take up in the text box. So
right.
you already have the cards stacked against you, at least in the 16-bit era, with especially JRPGs, which are really story heavy and text heavy. So
Right.
like they had to work around a lot of that shit just to try to fit stuff in. Yeah, so he had a lot of cards stacked against him.
Yeah, so and yeah, if you get into debates on like Reddit, these are fucking
Oh
rabbit
god,
holes that just never end.
of
The
course not.
Tom Wosley, I want to say it's Wosley. I need to look this shit up.
I don't know his name, but
Um, but yeah, his translation of Final Fantasy VI is probably better than Final Fantasy VII's, and Final Fantasy VII, I believe, had more than one individual working on it.
oh, there's definitely issues. I remember you sent me a link to a Kotaku story about the translation of at least like the opening area of Final Fantasy VII and how it could have been better.
Yeah, so they talk
You remember that?
specifically. Yeah, they talk specifically about the localization. I'll put that. I'll put localization in quotes.
Super interesting video, by the way. Like, so the guy who did the video on Kotaku, like he obviously is fluent in Japanese or at least speaks it to a very high degree. And I agreed with what he said. It's like, yep, yeah, totally. That's yeah, localization is not just translating stuff. It's very complex,
Right.
and there's a lot of room for um,
Interpretation.
freedom,
Yeah.
yeah, interpretation, and that's the things that type of thing. The people that make the decisions on what they read the Japanese and how they interpret it. That sets apart the good translations from the bad translations in terms of localization.
Yeah, I think so too.
And but for a lot of older games, it's like localization, because like in a lot of like even 8-bit games, early 16-bit games, there wasn't a lot of text, there wasn't a lot of lore. They didn't have to translate much. It was like system-based translation, attack, defense, item, magic, that type of thing. But when it started getting more complex, it's like they were figuring out exactly how to do that stuff. So it has progressed since then. It was like the early days of like localizing a text-heavy game from like
Well,
one
all right.
to
So we
another.
see it in if we're gonna use Final Fantasy as an example, like the difference between Kiraga, um, you know what I mean? Like that was not that in 6, right? It wasn't Kiraga in 6. It was Kir 3 or whatever.
Oh my god, yeah, that's totally right. That's something that was like retcon that I totally forgot about. It was Cure 1, Cure 2, Cure 3.
Right. So the GBA version that you played will probably be Kiraga.
I'm sure it was. I don't remember, but I'm sure they retconned that.
Same with Fire
It's not retcon,
Firaga.
updated it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what? Kiraga? What the hell?
Yeah.
Cure 1.
Well, I noticed that just going from 6 to 8, you know what I mean? Like the playing 6, 7, and 8 in sequence. Like, what the hell is this? They've changed the numbers on us. They're now like in the future, and these spell names are different, and
Right.
yeah.
Man, I have a problem with in terms of JRPGs. When I get to the end game, I tend to like lose motivation to actually beat it. So, in keeping with that, Final Fantasy 7 and 8, I got to the very end of the game. It's like, all right, all you have to do is like finish up all your side quests and level up your characters, and the next fight is the last boss.
Right.
I beat those games a year after that moment came in those games. I just like put them down.
Just fucking...
Both of them, 7 and 8. Yeah, I beat them a year later. It's just like I grinded through both of those games, and then I got to like, all right, you're right before the last boss. Do what you got to do before you face him. And like, I don't know what it was. I put both down, and then I came back to them. It was one of those things that was just in the back of my mind, like I should finish those games. And then I picked the controller back up, and I beat both of them. But I had that issue.
I'll tell you what. So both of those games, well, pretty much for all the Final Fantasies, you had the illusion of an open world.
Okay. Please do explain. Do explain.
Well, see, that was the beauty of those games. So, if you're talking about
you couldn't go and do whatever you wanted. It was clearly linear. You had to do this, and this, right?
No, so all right. So when you get to the PlayStation 1 era games, and even Final Fantasy 6 to a certain extent, and specifically Final Fantasy 1, you could travel anywhere. Like once you got the airship or the boat, you could travel to any fucking town that you had access to, and go talk to people.
Right. Like 2/3 of the way through the game or something like that.
Right. Yeah, and so there's the illusion of open world. So yes, you're visiting these towns and these cities and whatnot, and you're talking to these people, and they don't have anything new to say. But you can visit all the different shops. You can go
Right.
talk to
They
all
don't have
these
anything new
people.
to say.
Yeah, you can go any.
The town was like burned down,
Right, but
so they have to like change the dialogue.
But you can go to any town. You can travel all across the map. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there was the illusion of it being an open world, and I don't know. That was part of the appeal to me when I was younger. It was like, I can just fucking travel anywhere and talk to these random people until I figure out what the fuck I need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Weird side note. Both of the card games, I think it was called Tetra Battle and 9, Tetra Master.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And whatever it was called in 8. I played those card games way more than I ever played Gwent in The Witcher. I am terrible I am absolutely terrible at Gwent. So much so that, like,
I
four rounds into Gwent, I was like, I'm not fucking. I played on the difficulty higher than normal, but not the hardest difficulty in terms of the combat and stuff. Separately, you can go in the options and bump Gwent to any difficulty. It's separately.
oh fuck that, dude.
I
don't even
I
understand.
bumped Gwent down to easy, and I still fucking sucked at that game. So I don't
even understand Gwent. So like we're probably in the same boat.
The thing is, like, Gwent, there's two, like, the general rules of the game are really simple, but it's so fucking complex that it's like, everyone's like, oh my god, I played more Gwent than I did The Witcher 3. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, why would you do that? It's not fun.
Which Brent are you talking about? Ultimate Brent or Viking Brent?
I think I said Gwent.
Oh, alright, okay.
Who's Viking Brent? From
Dude,
the Lost Vikings?
No, did you don't remember Epic Battle Axe with Daniel Kaiser?
Oh, Epic Battle Cry?
Epic Battle Cry, yes.
Oh, yeah, that was hosted on Game Trailers.
For
Back in the day.
for a long time. So it was Viking Brent Adams, Daniel Kaiser.
Oh, is that the guy that always did the intros? Like, my masters of malice, my bros of brutality.
Dude, yes. I still follow him on Twitter, dude.
Oh no shit! Like, I totally listened to that podcast on the tail end of it.
Dude, it was a great podcast.
So I never
I followed it for a long time.
I don't know. I found out about it like a bit too late. But I always liked how every week he had to try to come up with like a new alliteration. By the way, I made up what I said right now. I didn't fucking, yeah. I don't know what he said, but I was always looking forward to, like, what was he gonna say this week? So that guy was Viking Brent.
Yeah. So all right, Viking
Okay.
Brent Adams. He was all about fucking Gwent. Like so.
Really?
Yeah. So they had.
Please explain to me. Please explain. I want to know.
All right. So they had two. All right. So. All right, so Epic Battle Cry was the main podcast, right? But they had a website called Epic Battle Axe,
Okay.
and on Epic Battle Axe they had the Axe Factor, and there
That's
was
pretty good.
there was another podcast. I think there was three of them. The Epic Battle Cry was the one that was picked up by Game Trailers. That was Viking Brent Adams.
Oh, okay, so they sought them out and picked it up, huh? I guess that's how it works.
I would have to. I'd ask Shane. I'm curious how that worked because
That should be definitely like a fucking game face question.
Yeah. So
I would love to hear the story behind that.
right. So my understanding was that Daniel Kaiser worked on GT Live with Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, he was kind of like a personality, right? Like
right,
like a host.
or GTTV or whatever. Like he was like a producer, a camera guy, or grip or whatever. And he did the podcast with these other guys, which were his friends, and somehow that got picked up by Game Trailers to be like a proper podcast. But they had a couple other podcasts that they did, and
Okay.
So Viking Brent did another podcast with this other guy called Lauren Baumgarten, who is no stranger to the game development world. He actually worked on the Golf Club. I don't know if you know that game. It was for the PS3, PS3 and Steam. It was a golfing game.
Okay.
So anyway, they did a show together, and they would talk about like The Witcher 3, or The Witcher 2 when it came out, and they would just fucking gush about Gwent. And
really?
yeah, and so like when Gwent,
I guess I don't do it. I mean, obviously I don't because I'm bad at it. But
right, so when Gwent was announced as like an iPhone app and like its own separate thing, they were like, "Oh my God, it's coming out separately, and I love this, and I want to play it." And anyway, that was a super long story for me to just explain that.
No, that's interesting. I didn't know. Well, it kind of led us into a conversation about Epic Battle Cry, which I did listen to. So
Yeah, it was an awesome podcast. I loved it.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. Those guys had good. Sorry, my microphone levels might be off. Those guys had good rapport. They're obviously friends, you know.
Yeah. So Daniel Kaiser actually works for Epic now, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay, cool. It's
Which is
shit
ironic.
gets cut from the top. It's good to see them.
Yeah.
on their feet doing
Which
good
is
stuff.
ironic because Rohan is with
Battle Key, Boss Key.
Boss Key, right? Which is also in Raleigh. They're both in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
It's like,
this I'm kind of liking this game here. What's this?
let's talk about the game that I'm playing rather than how creepily I
okay,
stalk
so-
the people from game trailers.
Excuse me, Berkough. Is this a silky? That was a great introduction there. Is this a silky smooth 60 frames per second?
It is, yeah. So on my end, it is. I don't know what it looks like on your end.
It is not, but I can still see what's kind of going on here.
Okay.
So is this auto scrolling? Oh no, you're doing this yourself.
I'm moving, yeah. So it is not
Okay.
auto scrolling.
Okay, so it stops when you need to battle.
Right,
Okay.
right. So it's a beat 'em up. It's
So you can guard, you can attack.
yeah, you can guard if you hit it just right. It stuns the enemy for a little bit. It's extremely difficult. I have it on hard though. I figured, fuck it, why not, right?
Yeah, 3 skulls out of 5. What do you expect? I love the
Dude, the parallaxing.
oh, that's awesome, yeah, and the reflection of the moon and the emulation of like the water.
Yeah, right. That's yeah. So,
It really it's pretty fucking cool, especially with all of these games. You have to take into consideration the limitations that
our
all these
place,
devs are
yeah,
given.
that's the whole point. You put them on
And
like,
it's like, but like, look at this. Look at this. It's so awesome. Look at that. Look at that screen.
right?
It's so good.
The You Died screen is pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's innovation. What is it? John Carpenter said it.
Limitation breeds innovation.
Innovation. He probably said that. Yeah. Like,
Is
you know,
that-
it's like
That's what it is.
like just very missed budgets for horror movies like The Thing.
Right.
And just-
right.
By the way, like totally biased. The Thing is my favorite movie of all time.
Really, like
Although I lean more towards horror.
of every
But
movie,
just-
period.
Yeah, The Thing is the best movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I just like from the opening scene, John Carpenter did them. He wrote the fucking music. He didn't even dun 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 dun. It's absolutely amazing. But it's like they had a limited budget, and like for a Hollywood film, right? They had a pretty when you compare it to other films of the time and the budgets they were given, like very
Right.
modest budget, and just those practical effects still look good today.
Oh yeah, totally.
That you can say that you can't say that about a lot of films, and that's why I will always be an advocate of practical effects, although they're more expensive than cheap CG. I do understand that there are limitations and budget limitations, and you can't just fucking make animatronics and
Right.
stuff
right.
like that. But for everything, right? Like CG's cheaper, it's easier, it's quicker, that type of thing. But it's just like, oh, The Thing, just
All right.
injected into
So,
my veins.
Did you see that by chance?
Just before this.
All right. The fact that the cart didn't load.
Yeah. So what is that about?
Dude, I have to think that the reason that it did that is because they like programmed it to not work every time. To somehow emulate the fact that it's an old system.
Right. So like the first time it happened, that's what I asked you, and we were kind of like,
I don't know what's
we don't,
going on.
I don't know.
So
right.
That's
But like, how could it not load? That doesn't make any sense, right?
right. So that's new since I've discovered these.
Oh, is that why you were a bit like kind of unsure as to like what was going on?
Yeah, no, like I don't know what's going on, but like now, like all right, you just like reload the page and it loads. So I was like,
That's pretty sweet. I it's one of those
if
things like
if that is a thing,
do
if that is the thing that they did, I'm super impressed, and I love that decision.
Right. Go to Reddit. Someone's fucking arguing about it and calling people terrible names
Oh, I'm sure.
over the
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah. But no, yeah, that is a level of faithfulness to the atmosphere they're trying to create with these games that I do really appreciate.
Right. All right.
Obviously, like don't overdo it, but
No, but yeah. Like,
remind me of the time when that was a thing, type of, you know.
yeah. All right. I'm gonna grab fucking one more beer.
All right, I will grab one more beer as well.
All right.
It's all out of control. Fuck is this? No. Fuck off!
All right. I gotta do some type of audio cue so I know what the hell when I cut that blank space out.
All right.
Welcome back, everyone. One last beer, and we're gonna finish up. So we got. How many games have we played tonight? Do you remember? At least 6 or 7, right?
What's the over/under here? I think over 6, easily, right?
Yeah.
Over 7.
No, well, over 6, I'd say. Let's see. We played Hyperspace. We played.
Bear hug space,
Uh,
hug game,
Hug Arena.
hug arena.
All right, Hug Arena.
Wait, hold on. How was that game not called Bear Hug?
That's a good question. If we can find out who the hell the guy was that developed that game, we should totally ask him.
Maybe that was the obvious choice. Like The reason why they chose a bear was probably because of bear hug, but they decided that's too on the nose, so then they changed it maybe.
Well, all right. So, but it does take place in an arena, right? Like
I think I don't
you
know.
have a certain objective that you have to go for. Um,
Yeah, to bear hug people.
but are you bear hugging them, or are you hugging in an arena?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, could be both. It should have been called Bear Hug Hug Arena.
Bear, bear hug arena.
I don't know if you can have hug in the twice in the same name in the same name.
All right, so bear hug arena.
Hug Arena. Yep.
Yeah, bear hug arena. 2 words.
Uh, thank God this isn't Earth, or I don't like this place.
Oh, Earth was a bad choice.
Uh,
Right? Is that the name?
it's closer than what I just said.
All right, all right, all right. So we had hyperspace, hug arena. Earth was a bad choice.
Hybris.
Hybris. Yeah,
Hybris.
Hybris. This one.
Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh yeah, yeah. We did play a Wolfenstein 3D port. That's it. Okay. I almost feel bad about showing this on YouTube now. I don't want id because it's owned by Bethesda now to like get all fucking litigious.
I mean, are they litigious? Are they one of those companies?
Bethesda, yeah, they might be. I don't know.
Oh,
They're actually,
Berkough.
they're pretty cool
Go ahead.
about like the modding community and stuff. So I'm sure they're probably fine with it.
Before I forget, I do want to see Another World. I want
Oh.
to see a demake of that. Speaking of demakes, I want to see how that, because like the movement in that game is so like how many sprites it takes to make the movement look so fluid.
Okay.
It takes such a lot. It takes such a lot. You know what I mean? I know I can't speak English,
It's all right.
but
I've-
it's interesting. How do you demake something that has such fluid pixel animation?
I've
That's what I'm curious with.
All right, that's fair. I've actually entertained the notion of asking you to translate everything that I say into Japanese so that we can just like hit dual audiences.
We could do subtitles. Oh, I mean, I could. It would take me a really fucking long time, and I would also have to consult my wife on the finer points of the Japanese language. It's possible, but
No, I'm joking with you. I'm joking with you, obviously.
it would be funny. It's the same thing. Like we talked about. Okay, off recording, we talked about the difference between Japanese stand-up comedy and Western stand-up comedy.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see like how far does our random. Oh, okay, I already like this. This looks good.
You can finish your thought. I don't have
Just
my
fucking-
hands on the keys yet.
Fucking all of these title screens are on point. By the way, like whoever is making these games, they're really thinking about like we need to hook them immediately. Don't fucking half-ass the title screen, and everyone seems to be doing their job.
Right. I will
but,
point out. If you take a look at the screen, okay, the press 0 or Z. So on the keyboard, it's Z and X. Within the fiction of the Pico8, those are what would be represented on the buttons.
Okay, it's a fiction.
Yeah, well, it is a fiction, dude. It's not a real console, right?
Okay, no, totally. You're right.
Yeah, so like that's what would actually be on the controller. So the 0 and the or what is 0 in Britain? Is it not?
0? I think 0.
Is it?
I think it's just 0.
No, because Z is a thing, right? So Z is Z.
Z is Z, but I don't think that has anything to do with the pronunciation of 0. They say zebra. I know that.
So maybe it's Z and not, or it could be 0 and Z, or 0 and Z. But anyway, I digress.
Right.
Okay.
Wave 1. I've
Yeah.
never heard. Oh,
So this is Another World survival.
interesting. I remember this is the Oh, the leeches that sting your legs and kill you automatically. Yeah, there it goes. Da-da!
I actually don't hear any
Wow.
audio. Do you hear any audio coming out of this?
Nothing. I just remember that sound because I died a lot in this game. I love how the background is the turning point in the game. Like you run forward, and then you see the beast, and then later it shows up, and you got to run the opposite way. It's
Right.
like it's just watching you. Where did you go?
I
Oh,
so
there you are.
I can't do anything. I can kick the leeches, I guess.
Yeah. You must be able to duck and kick as well. That's how
Okay.
that's how you killed him back in the day.
I'm glad that you know, because it would have taken me a while to figure this shit out.
Yeah, I not too long ago I played through the PlayStation 3 port of this game.
Oh,
Maybe about
yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, they did it on Steam too.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
20th
and actually
anniversary or whatever.
that was the first time I beat it. I had never seen past like maybe like 2 hours into the game. Like my brother and I played this game to death, and we were just so shit at it that we just never got really far. And I actually sat down. I bought it really cheap on PSN, and then I sat down and I fucking beat it. It was pretty cool.
Right on.
I mean, this game it's just all it is. It's just trial and error
For
with very fucking like twitchy like controls. It's just
interesting.
I mean, like I think this is like the idea is cool, but if we're just gonna sit here and like kick leeches, like I don't know if this is. Oh, okay.
Shit,
Well, never
I got a
mind.
gun.
You got a gun. Okay, it's changed up. I was gonna say if it's just kicking leeches, then no go.
But I can
but-
still kick leeches if I want.
As you should. Sweet. Okay.
What the fuck?
Can you hold down the button and let it go to create a shield in front of you?
Apparently, yes.
Because that's going to save you from the shots. Because once you create a shield, it'll block their shots for a certain amount of time.
Fuck.
But
Alright.
what will happen is once you create a shield, you can actually shoot through your own shield. So create a shield and then duck and shoot. You can shoot through it and kill them. I mean, you should be able to. I'm not.
Wait, so,
Like, sure.
alright. Create a shield. Alright, so I'm holding down the button. Waiting for him
Let
to
it
come
go.
by. Duck.
No, the shield will last for a certain. No, it looks like. Oh no, it did. It totally did. You just gotta stand back a bit further.
Alright, so I'm standing back further. I'm holding down.
Okay. All right. Now let it go.
Right now?
Yeah, let it go. You see that? You see that red? All those red dots on the far left.
Yeah.
That's the shield. It's. I don't know why it's. When you shoot, that it's spawning that far away. I don't know if holding down the button long enough makes the shield appear further away. That might be the case.
Okay.
So hold it down for less time. The shield might appear closer to where you are actually. No, it looks like it just appears right there,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense because the bad guy's body is already through the shield, so it looks like they can hit you. In the game, like you'd create a shield and it would disappear after like a couple shots from the enemy's gun.
Huh.
So the idea was to create a shield, and then
shoot them.
and then shoot through it to kill them. And then
Right.
once the shield, you could see the shield kind of slowly diminishing because of their shots. You create another shield, and then once that one went away, then you had another shield to defend you. That type of thing. I don't really necessarily know how this works.
Okay. You may have to just try this out on the Pico8.
Yeah, I'm
so
gonna
you
have to
can
see how it works. Yeah,
let me know, because right
it
now
just seems like the shield appears immediately, unless fuck the shield and just start shooting. I don't know.
I've tried that.
It doesn't work. Huh.
No.
It seems like
it
they're
could
trying to
be-
push you.
It could be,
Position.
you know, we can give Liquid Dream a little shit, you know, for not creating a good port, but
Well, just like telegraph what should be done a bit better.
right. No, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
everybody in the community seems like they're really cool, so I don't want to shit on anybody like that.
just even seeing that now, like that looked like another world.
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Just it might be one of those things like, oh hey, just this is what you need to do. And you're like, oh okay, and then you do it, and then you can move on with working through the challenge of beating the level. But
So, I think while you were off camera, I was looking through some of these games. Somebody did a Super Mario Brothers port.
oh, you got to play that.
If I can find it again, so I gotta try and find it.
Can't you use the search bar?
Oh yeah, that would be smart. Matt, why wouldn't you ever just search for something?
I did the same thing when I went on the site the first time.
There it is, Super Mario Brothers.
All right, let's.
Oh, it worked first. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't work right out the bat. It should...
No, that's to give you like one, right? Try your patience, and you're not worthy unless you boot it up like 3 times.
Right. Gotta blow on the
Level
cart.
1-1, yeah,
Shit.
classic one.
I started off
Oh,
big.
wow, you really fucking shrink.
So, alright, so I started off big, and you can go back and forward. That's different. Way different.
Oh, you're right, yeah. Those fucking Goombas, look at those bastards. They have problems.
Man, they totally fucking jacked the music too.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, alright. Well, when you watch the video, definitely check it out. Because it's...
Oh, shit, I'm like leaning in. I'm not positioned right. Yeah, classic. Go up top. Also, basically, this is almost a 1-for-1, as much as they can, a recreation of 1-1.
I think so, yeah.
You get it? A 1-for-1 of 1-1? That's pretty good.
We gotta work on those puns, dude.
I'm sorry, I'll unplug everything. You almost fucking fell there, but that was pretty good. You corrected it.
I'm a pro, dude.
Bro.
And then I die at like some Goomba.
That's usually how it happens. I mean, like, the hero gets, killed by the fucking sentry,
Right.
It happens.
Nice.
You got 80 of them coming at you, like, one of them's gonna kill you. Unless it's Dynasty Warriors, then you fucking destroy them all. How's the music here? I can't really hear it very well.
It's pretty good. So it'll come through on the video. I would love to turn it up to share it on the just share it over the my microphone, but it'll just sound really weird on the recorded.
That's fine. I love the torch in the background. Like, it's different. Like, the actual game was like very, very blue, and there was nothing in the background. But I love how they've created the idea of like the torch illuminating a section of the wall. It gives it a bit more. It makes the level itself look a bit more interesting.
Well, all right. So like I was saying, you can actually go upwards on these.
Can you do the old school, like, can you...
Or backwards, rather. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's a superstar.
Oh, you're like flashing like Luigi / Mario. It's an existential crisis. Maybe they're one and the same. like Luigi actually doesn't exist, but it's like the worst parts of Mario realized in like human form. It's actually part of his psyche.
All right, so there.
Sorry. Let's cut that.
No.
Continue.
So there's a whole fan theory about like with Super Mario World 3D, I guess, or New Super Mario Brothers. You know how Mario takes down the Bowser flags?
Yes.
And replaces them with his own.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a fan theory that Mario represents like imperialism, and Bowser is actually a representation of like the old state or something.
So what does Bowser kidnapping the princess represent? What?
How did I?
Because that doesn't seem like a something a hero would do, or something that someone who is virtuous would do, you know?
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's virtuous. It just means that
Unless you mean like she's the old blood, you know what I mean? She's like the Victorian fucking queen, and it's like it's she's not a, how do I want to say it? You know, it's like the French Revolution. Like they're taking down the monarchy, and
Right.
they're the symbolism. They're the symbol of oppression. You know, the rich kingdom, and Bowser's trying to take it back for the people. Is that what you're saying?
That is very possible. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a very real
Okay.
possibility.
That's, I mean, it's a load of shit, but it's pretty awesome.
I
No,
like
like,
how you're not even
it's
willing
like
to
he's-
entertain it. You're like, whatever.
No, it's like, but like, okay, let's be honest with ourselves. When Nintendo made this game, they thought of none of that.
Oh no, absolutely not.
There's no fucking way they thought of that. But I love the idea of people like.
But I'm
It's just like-
I'm not talking about the original. I'm talking about the newer games where that's a thing.
Right. I still don't think that was ever Nintendo's intention of making a story like that. Why would it be? It's way too complex for its own good. But it's still super interesting, and I love. That's like a professor hands someone an impossibility. Like, make sense out of this super basic story about someone like the oldest story in the history of anything, like a knight rescuing a princess, and then someone needs to write a dissertation or a
Right,
paper, and so they develop a story far beyond what the actual meaning of the story was. Like, that's what that is, and there's total room for that. Like, I love that stuff. But we can all agree that that was not the intention of anyone who wrote the story.
Well, all right. So we just found out that Mario is not a plumber anymore, right?
Oh, but that's like retcon bullshit. Like, you know, like.
Is it? But that's
whatever.
that's like officially from Nintendo. So
It doesn't mean that it's important, though. I guess it's important enough for them to change it, but yet, like, who cares
all right,
whether or not he's a
okay.
plumber?
Did you just see that shit? I killed the Goomba and died at the same time.
Did you did your head get caught in like through like the question mark block, and that's what killed you because you
no.
weren't supposed to be there?
No, it was the beginning of the second level.
I don't know. So there's a guy on YouTube. I've been following him for years. He's actually jumped around. Like, he started on YouTube when he got hired by the Escapist, and when the Escapist started fucking purging Jim Sterling and all these other fucking people from their website, he moved back
Right.
onto YouTube, and he did all this stuff. I don't know if you know Movie Bob.
No, I don't.
Okay, so this guy, he's a massive video game fan. He did a really, really long YouTube video series called The Game Overthinker. His whole idea is like,
The Game Overthinker. I
yeah.
love it.
So
I love it.
actually, it's kind of what we're talking about now. Is like
Right.
he's overthinking things that like the philosophy of games and all the stuff that like the game developers had no intention of ever like addressing. They're just making a fucking game, you know?
Right. Is this gonna
A
sell?
simple an 8-bit game moving, you know, left to right. Oh, okay, what's the framing of the story? Oh, the bad guy kidnaps the princess and you have to save her. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. But
Right.
so, but basically, like the stuff that he talks about, and even in his early stuff, and the video quality is like really, really poor, and the audio is poor because it was like old YouTube. But like
That's awesome.
some of the stuff he talks about is like he's a really smart guy. It's pretty clear because of his dictation and just the way
He's educated.
like he's very educated, and like some of the stuff that he talks, like the way he writes, it's like dissertation level like stuff.
Okay.
Just he's really so like to be fair, he's gotten hired by he does sufferedgeek.com. I guess I don't know exactly what they do. They do they cover video games. I'm sure they cover comic books and other stuff. It's called geek.com, so of course they cover like all of nerddom.
Right.
But he mostly handles his name is Movie Bob. His name is Bob Chipman, but his moniker or his whatever his online name is Movie Bob, and he mostly centers around he reviews movies as a critic, as a paid critic, But he's a massive video game lover and he loves Nintendo.
Okay.
But
That's
he
fair.
has so I would say so. Recently he's done a video called how to do a Super Mario Brothers movie.
Dude.
And he puts up points like this is how you could actually make a Mario Brothers movie in Hollywood and have it make sense and have it be a good movie. Now, having an idea about a movie and actually making a movie, totally different things, but the basic framework he puts in place is like really, really good, I think.
Okay.
So if anyone's interested in like just type in movie Bob on YouTube, and he has a video about like how to make a decent, or his idea of what a Super Mario Brothers movie should be.
All right.
It's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Can we
Long story, but yeah.
Can we just appreciate the fact that Sasha 217 didn't put in the fucking warp stages?
That is, I love how it exists, but you can't do anything with it. And now you're fucking stuck.
I have to wait for the 171 seconds to just run out.
I mean, that's about as perfect as it gets, I think.
I think it's hilarious, dude. If I were developing this, I would leave it like that. I would make the first 3 levels facsimiles, and then change shit.
That's pretty good.
And then change a little shit like throughout the rest of the game, because then it's like, what the fuck? Like everything I know is not right.
Oh, what? Like what you just said is a great idea. I wish more people like they did like 1-1 of the game. And then the further the game went on, it got more and more fucked, and like it became less and less of what it was supposed to be. It used to descend into fucking madness.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, okay. So, have you ever played Mario Adventure?
Mario Adventure.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm familiar with it.
All right. It's a NES ROM hack. Okay.
Okay, then I definitely haven't played it. If it's an NES ROM hack.
All right, okay. So it's an NES ROM hack of Super Mario Brothers 3. The guy that designed it was working part-time at McDonald's while he developed this game.
Wow.
It's fucking phenomenal, dude. Like,
really?
Yeah, no.
I thought you were going to say like it's shit, but you should play it.
No. Like, this guy's calling is definitely fucking video game development. So.
Oh, cool.
I actually own. See if we can get this on camera.
Is that it? A fucking physical copy of it?
Yeah. So there's a company called Time Walk Games that actually released physical copies of Super Nintendo, Nintendo. Yeah, I actually own this thing on a physical, fucking like regular cart, and I wish. I'll wait for my camera to catch up. I wish that
wow, look at that.
Yeah, I wish that the money that I spent on Time Walk Games, like some of it went to the developer, because this guy, like he invented new powers, right? So there's like new shit that you can do. The weather is randomly generated.
You know what? The more you explain this game, the more I sound like I've heard this from somewhere. I do remember something about like random weather generation kind of Mario hack game.
So I
can't be sure though.
I may have like shared the link on Sifted like years ago. Well, like,
I might have heard it from you, to be honest. Yeah.
When the site first started, I may have like shared this stuff. So, yeah, like the weather changes. It's variable depending on, I don't know what the like calculation of it is, but.
But does the weather change in a single stage? Can the weather change, or is it like?
No, it's every time you start the stage. It changes.
Okay. Ninja Gaiden, right there.
Yeah, a little bit like Ninja Gaiden. The interesting thing too is like, okay, so you did this ROM hack, and in order to get the game to work physically on a cartridge, they had to use the same type of board that Legend of Zelda uses with the battery backup, which is not what Super Mario Brothers 3 was originally put on. So in order to get this thing to work, like it's not only is it a ROM hack, right, and the game's like completely redesigned and all the levels are different and everything. The circuit board, like the actual PCB that you put it on, has to be custom made, or you have to use like the same type of board that Legend of Zelda uses in order in order to do the battery backup saving feature.
Right.
Yeah, fucking blew my mind. Like, how does anybody even do that?
Some people, it's like every time, every now and then in Sifted, it pops up like someone made a new Genesis game in cartridge. It's like, whoa, what do you hope to gain from this? Like, it's totally awesome, but it's very random.
Well,
it's one of those things like, wow,
yeah,
the community is strong and motivated.
Did you see the Super Mario 64 multiplayer? The online multiplayer?
I saw the story pop up on Sifted, but I didn't click through.
Dude, it's like
is it legitimate or what?
Yeah, it's totally legitimate. It's another ROM hack. So you can download the patch and like patch your ROM file, and then you can play online with people.
That's fucking crazy.
Right? It's intense. All right,
that's
so
why people are afraid of clowns.
To end the video, we're gonna do Pico8.
I'm glad you hid this from me. I
didn't even hide it. I was just,
I mean, you didn't say anything about it. This is the first thing.
Right.
This looks as good as the Super Nintendo game. I mean,
this is pretty.
There's no shot, side-by-side comparison, but still, the draw distance seems about the same.
This is pretty damn good for a fucking. Can't you like take down the towers in the original game?
I mean, to be honest, I don't think any of the Star Fox games are that good, except for Star Fox 64. It's the only one that's good.
All right, so I never played 64. I just played the original.
So how do you feel about it when you, like then and now, I suppose?
I don't know. This is a rough comparison. This is actually pretty good, like the movement.
It's just one of those games. It's like impossible to get far enough into. It's just it's one of those Super Nintendo games. Like my memory is like I always got to like stage 3 and died, and then that's as far as I could get. So that's all I played of the game. You know what I mean? Like there's so many games that were so hard. It's like. So hard, or I was shit at that I just never got far enough in.
All right, so that's kind of a revelation for me, for you, because you're the guy that's like, oh yeah, I dumped 100 hours into this, fucking beat it. This is the type of game I don't know if I remember beating it, but like I definitely remember getting like super far into this game and spending a lot of time with it.
Okay, so I think that translates to you were just a lot better at the game than I was, because I was pretty fucking bad at this game. I never got past, like... I just remember... I seriously only remember playing, like, the first two stages over and over. Like, I just never got any further than that, and I lost interest.
Alright, well, that's fair.
You know, when you translate difficulty and stuff to, like, PlayStation 4, it's like, oh, I got the Platinum Trophy in this game. It's like, no, it's just a war of attrition. It's... rarely tied to challenge. Some trophies are tied to challenge, but a lot of it is just if you play the game long enough, you will get the platinum trophy type of thing.
All right. Do you want to end on some type of philosophical note about challenge in video games? And like,
as long as you're gonna lead me into the conversation, yes.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk about challenge in video games today versus NES hard.
Okay. What do you got?
Well, you were saying like for you it's a war of attrition. Apparently this is just the first level. So, and I just beat it.
Yeah, well, one thing that I remember as a kid is we had nothing to compare the difficulty to.
Right.
And this is like pre-internet, pre-modern internet. In terms of like everyone has access to the internet like mid-90s. I like one of the things I always remember is Batman Returns, which is a beat 'em up. Fucking amazing game. But I remember like limited continues.
Right.
I remember getting
So-
to the end of that game, and the penguin killed me, and I went all the way back to the beginning of the game, like 4 or 5 hours lost. And you know what I did? I pressed start again, and I started playing again because I had nothing to compare it to. There were no checkpoints. There was no regenerating health. I had nothing to say. This sucks. Why am I fucking playing this? That was the base game. Everything was, you have a certain amount of lives, you have a certain amount of continues. When that's done, you're done. You got to start from. There's no save states.
Right.
You can't just save in the middle of a level. So it didn't suck because there was no modern world of like regenerating health or automatic auto saves or checkpoints to compare it to. It was just, no, this is what happens. If you're not good enough, that's it. You go back to the beginning of the game. So Batman Returns, I played that game all the time. I think I probably played 4 hours and I died at the Penguin and I went back, and then 3 hours and I died at Catwoman and I went back, and then I died in the first 3 stages, and then I got better, and then finally I beat the game, just based on playing it so many fucking times. It's just, I mean, that is just it's just a difference. It's very different.
All right.
It's not Halo regenerating health. That age was long before that.
Right. So I can agree with that. Like I've been there, right? Like we both grew up at the same time. We're about the same age.
Yeah, I'm 30. I'm 32.
Right. I'll be 32 in June. So
Okay. Next June.
Yeah, next June.
Okay.
So
Obviously not this June because it's past.
right.
Just fucking edit that out. I'm giving you way more work than you. Anyways, so you were saying.
Anyway, all right. So we grew up at the same time, right? Could have possibly been in the same grade.
Yep. Oh yeah. I was young for my grade.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. Like we were talking about Contra 3 before, you know, that, like you said, it's a war of attrition. It's just a matter of just fucking how many times do you play through this to give up less, you know? But where I found solace was with games like Final Fantasy VI. And games like Final Fantasy VII, and games like Xenogears, and games like Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross.
The only thing you've done is mentioned JRPGs.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no war. There's no war of attrition. There's just a story.
Right.
So, like,
I mean, there kind of is. Like, if you die at a boss, like, okay, usually they were nice enough to give you a save point before the boss of an area. But sometimes you might lose 30 minutes of progress in a dungeon.
Right. Okay. So you could lose that, but the end result.
But you're not starting at the beginning of the game.
No,
the story is just progressively moving forward.
The end result is, okay, I grind for an extra hour to get these levels, and then I can get through the story.
Right.
You know, I feel like, yeah, and you guys have mentioned this before, and I think you even mentioned it on the last podcast, Reload, actually it was episode 45, so it was the episode before the one that I was on this last time, about RPG mechanics sort of sneaking their way into regular games, you know?
Right, yep.
And that's what it's about. It's about having that, you know, progression over time, and you don't really like lose your place and slip back, and it's not about like wasting hours of your time, and it's not about a 2-hour game that takes you fucking 24 hours to beat, you know.
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of that design came from arcades, that the whole
just keep sinking your quarters. Just sinking your quarters, you know.
And so, like, no one sat down and said, like, how do we make this different? It's like, no, just port what arcades are doing, put it into consoles, that type of thing. And then later, it's like, oh no, you know, games can be more than just. It's not about people putting their money into a machine anymore. It's like we're actually making experiences, and so like it evolved from that, and then it's moved to a point where, but like I'm not one of those people that's like, well, back in my day, fucking 3 continues and you were done, son. I don't know anyone who talks like that, by the way.
Right.
But,
I don't either.
yeah. So, but I'm not that type of person. Like, I'm like, no, that's what the games were then, right? In like the 80s and the 90s. Like I said with Metroid, I'm totally fine that I died at the boss and they start me out of the door before the boss. Like I don't want to waste my time anymore. Games have ultimately changed in that regard, and I'm fine with that.
Right.
Like I remember the time when games were shit hard, and if you lost all your continues, you started from 0. And yeah, that's like I'm glad I have that in the back of my head, and the nostalgia for those kind of challenging games, and you had to play games over and over and over and over, because when I was a kid I didn't have any money, and my parents said like 1 game every 3 months, so I was going to play the game to death until I got good enough to beat it. And that's how long it took to beat it, because it was so fucking hard.
Dude.
And games aren't like that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like
and I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that.
My first, when I first drunk play was Sonic Spinball. Such an
Game is super fucking hard.
It was such an obscure fucking game too, and I wanted Sonic and Knuckles. God damn it! I wanted Sonic and Knuckles so bad, but my parents got me Sonic Spinball. So
was this like birthday present stuff or?
Yeah, it was like birthday or Christmas or whatever. Like, and so that was the game that I got. So that was the game that I played.
You like ripped off the top of the package. It was like the top of Sonic's head, and then you ripped off the bottom. Right. It's like fucking Spinball. You're like, oh fuck, you were halfway there.
Right. Totally, dude. Yeah, totally. That was kind of the result, you know. But I don't know.
So you played the game to death, and you got good at it.
Decently good at it, you know.
Right, as much as you can with like really hard games. Like, yeah, I mean,
all right.
A lot of the games that I beat as a kid, it's like skin of the teeth. Seriously, for a lot of that stuff.
Like for Sonic Spinball, I'm good enough to beat the first level after a 12-pack.
Right? Yeah. I watched the video. I remember that shit. Yeah, I remember. I had that weird fucking childhood. It sounds like it's like a Goonies movie. Like, I had a Super Nintendo, and the kid across the street had a Genesis, and we'd always like, I'd go to play the Genesis, I'd go to his house, and to play the Super Nintendo, he went to my house.
No, yeah, totally.
And it's totally true. That's exactly how it was. He never, and the weird thing was, like, his parents had enough money to give him a Super Nintendo. My parents, maybe they had enough money. Like, I'm not too sure. I don't know. There's a bit of a struggle there. But
dude,
but like,
yeah,
it was totally like we went to each other's houses to play the other system because no one could afford 2 systems type of deal.
I'll tell you what, this is where we'll end the video. My parents bought my PlayStation through Finger Hut. If you know what, you don't know what Finger Hut is?
No, it sounds like a very dangerous. It sounds like that mythical like Democrat, or was it Republican, like pizza like basement pedophile.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude, you're getting so dark. No,
sorry.
Finger Hut was a mail order catalog, but they had financing options available for you.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, totally bought it on credit.
Smart idea.
Yeah, I was the first kid on the block to have a PlayStation.
No shit.
Yeah.
And everyone like come over and you're like, behold.
Right.
Fucking.
But it's not like we had the money to buy it. It's just my dad was like, "Fuck it, we had the Jaguar. I'm gonna get him the PlayStation." You know.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
So. Anyway, I guess that's where we'll end it. This is just gonna like continue on. We could fucking ramble for hours, right?
Yeah, you gotta end it sometime. Yeah.
Nostalgia is a beautiful beast.
Yeah, I mean, you live for decades. You got stories for fucking days. It's how it happens. So another time, another video.
All right. So
yeah, this is Pico8, man. Like, I'm really liking everything I've seen, and I'm definitely gonna play a bunch of the games we played today after this video is over.
Yeah, check it out. $15 if you want to download the engine and be able to build your own games. The last game that we played was Pico Racer, very much like Rad Racer for the original Nintendo, the NES.
Pico Racer.
Right. Except it doesn't have the VR option. Do you remember Rad Racer had um, the 3D glasses?
I do not remember that.
The
That's a
red and blue 3D glasses. Like so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So
legitimate. Wow.
yeah. So
Old
if you,
school 3D.
Jesus Christ. All right. So like I said, we could just keep going for hours and hours on like retro nostalgia shit. Rad Racer, the original game, came with the red and blue 3D glasses.
Okay.
And that shit totally stuck out from the TV. There's if you hit select, I think it changes it to fucking 3D mode.
Fucking 3D mode. It's a special one.
It's been there forever. And on that note, peace, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Sifted. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you soon.